back here at Gov Fuller Field. And the gateman went down. Facing the minimum was Tommy Sheehan in the top of the first inning as we take a look at that beautiful graphic by our very own Haley Blitch at this Commodores lineup. Pretty commonplace for Jeff Trundy's squad. Hayden Cantrell leading things off, followed by Trey Cruz from Rice University. Two switch hitters start off the order for the Commodores, followed by Austin Langworthy playing left. Jackson Coots earned himself a second straight start after his great day yesterday at Harwich. He's designated hitting at the cleanup spot. Steven Moretto stays put at 5 and playing third base. Tyler Ross getting a start at first, rounded out by Barron Radcliffe, Sean Harrington, and Zach Deloach.
This lineup could really use the bats to come alive, really could use some runs. They've scored 3 runs over the past 3 games, 2 against Bourne, none in Game 1 against Harwich, only 1 in Game 2 against Harwich. So it's a very important day for Falmouth in order to try to get a win, get back into the winning scheme, but also just to get that confidence offensively.
Well, Hayden Cantrell had a tough day yesterday. Swinging at the first pitch, and it's into left field. Could be in foul territory, but getting there in plenty of time is Mike Antico for the first out.
Cantrell is kind of not your prototypical leadoff man. Yeah, he's got speed. Yeah, he swings for contact a lot, but he swings too much almost. He's always a guy jumping on the first pitch. We've seen it just about every single game. He jumps on the first pitch. Sometimes it pays off, like against Hyannis when it was a home run, but not quite tonight.
Trey Cruz watches a ball low. On the mound for the Gatemen is Bryce Elder, rising junior, who goes to Texas with a 2.93 ERA, a 2-4 record in 83 innings pitched. Cruz hits one up the middle. That's a no-doubt base hit that sneaks past the outstretched glove of Bryce Semmes. One aboard.
And Cruz is starting to get the hang of things with the wood bat. It took him a little while. He was striking out a lot early on. He struck out a lot yesterday. In Game 2, he went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, but in Game 1, he had a couple of hits. Against Bourne, he had a hit as well. So it's just a matter of slowly but surely picking up the pace for Trey Cruz, and it looks like he's starting to get there.
Austin Langworthy swings at pitch number 1, but it lands in the trees foul. So Cantrell and Cruz, both lefties, both switch hitters who batted lefty. Austin Langworthy and Jackson Coots are lefties as well. Bryce Elder checks on Cruz over at first base. Commodores second in the Cape League in stolen bases, behind only Katuitt. Ball 1 misses inside, count even.
That's something I didn't really notice as of yet, is that the Commodores have so many left-handed bats in their lineup. Like you said, 1 through 4 can all bat from the left side, and then they've got Radcliffe, Harrington further down, so they've got more lefties than righties, which is rare.
This is a high, deep drive into right center field, but it hangs up for the center fielder, Braden Ward, for the second out. Thought it might have been a gap shot off the bat.
Yeah, Langworthy, pardon me, got just too far under it. It was a great pitch to hit. It was about belt high, middle in. That's exactly where lefties love to hit. But he got under it, as I mentioned, and doesn't have quite that much power to put it over the right field fence.
Jackson Coots, 3 for 6 to start the summer. He had the only run scored for the Commodores yesterday across 2 games in the doubleheader. Coots from the University of Rhode Island. Watches a ball low. Andy Thomas doing the catching behind the plate, had a nice stop there. Outfield from left to right, Mike Antico in left, Braden Ward in center, Matt Ruddick playing right. Elder misses high. Cruz had a big secondary lead there, thought he might have been going, but he holds up.
Bryce Elder is not a guy to walk a lot. He only had 33 walks over 83 innings pitched. So it's going to be a swing-heavy game, as we've seen so far. A lot of early swings and not a lot of counts that have gotten too deep, just because of the amount of strikes that have been thrown.
(2-0) the count. Elder agrees on a pitch with Thomas. Coots has yet to swing the bat. It's a 3-0 count for the cleanup man.
Well, there you go. As I say it, the opposite comes true, but Jackson Coots will take it. He's ahead 3-0, as you mentioned, and he had a great day yesterday, so hitter's count will help him to try to continue that.
4-pitch walk issued to Jackson Coots, and the Commodores have a little 2-out rally going here in the bottom of the first inning.
That's something we saw a ton in Game 2 yesterday, is that the Doors were able to put a lot of guys on base. They left 8 runners on base, but the problem was every time they would get guys on base, they would already have 2 outs against them. That's been the case right now as well. Trey Cruz got on with 1 out, but quickly 2 outs and 2 men on, so you don't give yourself too much room for comfort when that's the case.
Thomas calls for time, steps in front of the plate, and gives some defensive signals to the infield, which is made up of Chad Stevens at third, Bryce Sems at short, Darren Baker at second, and Jacob Teeter at first. Moretto takes a big hack at the first pitch, but comes up empty. 0-1. Moretto just above 200 to start the summer, 4 for 19. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Good breaking pitch on pitch number 1 that broke well outside towards the left-handed batter's box, and then he goes up and in with a fastball. That's a great pitch sequence from Elder, and now he can go anywhere. He can go to either of those 2 pitches, or he can drop in a curve ahead 0-2.
0-2, 2 outs, 2 men on. Swing and a miss, strike 3. After issuing a 4-pitch walk, Elder gets a 3-pitch strikeout, and we head to the top of the second on the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
Sheehan getting his second start for the Commodores this summer. He had a 4.58 ERA this past year at Notre Dame. Here's a rolling ground ball over towards Cantrell. High throw, no problem for Ross, 1 down.
Just a matter of getting used to the cape, getting used to the wood bats, I think, for Adrian Del Castillo. He's a guy who raked in his freshman year with Miami, part of a reason why he was ACC all-freshman team. But he's been off to a slow start now, 3 for 14, and Sheehan, after falling behind 2-0, you might have thought that Del Castillo would get a good pitch to hit. He just softly rolled one over towards Cantrell.
Yeah, Sheehan has stuck to his stuff, even with that leadoff single to Ruddick. Quickly erased by a double play. Here's a high chopping ground ball for Cruz. He grabs it in underhands, but the throw is past Ross. Jacob Teeter will trot over towards second base as that ball is out of play once it touches the bullpen. A runner on second.
Cruz made a great play coming in on it. I think he tried to flip it a little too quickly. Looked like he kind of didn't get a grip on it with his throwing hand and just kind of let it get away from him. And that's why Ross, who had no chance even getting off the bag, and unluckily for the Commodores, right into the bullpen. Not much you can do about that. So now there's a runner on second against Sheehan, and he's really in his first jam of the ball game.
It's ruled an error. Benjamin Sems takes a first pitch ball, 5 for 10. He goes to Kansas and plays short for the Gatemen. He had a double earlier this season. The Gatemen again, first place in the West Division, 4-1-1 to start 2019. 1-0 is fouled back towards Jeff Trundy. Runner in scoring position for the Gatemen here in the second. Mike Antico is on deck. Sam's taking his time to get back into the box. Seen a few lefties now for the Gatemen as well.
Yeah. It doesn't work out in their favor for the matchups.
1-1 is off speed. Moretto has a read on it. It's going to be close to the Wareham dugout. Indeed, it lands in the bleachers. 1-2.
Benjamin Sems, who places baseball out in Kansas with the Jayhawks, a teammate of James Cosentino, who is a 2018 Falmouth Commodore. He's now a rising senior with Kansas, so one of the older players on the Cape. Typically we see sophomores or juniors. And his average from his freshman year really improved. 220 his freshman year. He went up to 240 as a sophomore, now up to 305. So he's steadily progressed and looking to continue that progression into the summer.
Harrington keeps that ball in front of him. 2-2 the count. Sems had a multi-home run game this year against Texas Southern back in late February. It's from Chesterfield, Missouri, so not too far away from Kansas University. Sheehan takes a look back. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Beautiful off speed, and it's the first K of the evening for Tommy Sheehan.
Looked like it was foul tipped into the glove, but Harrington hung on, and good job on Tommy Sheehan not getting, I guess you could say, irked or not getting bothered by the runner on second, Teeter. He faked the steal after Sheehan lifted his leg, but Tommy just stuck to his stuff, and he said, let me focus on the pitch. Teeter ended up just faking it, and he got the strikeout anyway.
Mike Antico from St. John's swings at the first pitch, and this could be trouble. It's in no man's land for Cruz. He tried the glove flip, but not in time. Sheehan was hustling off the mound, but nobody could get to it. Runners on the corners with 2 down.
Yeah, I think best case scenario that's Sheehan's ball, because if he gets to it, he's able to just basically take his momentum towards first base, maybe step on the bag himself and cut off the baseball before it goes a little too further. But again, it was slowly tapped that Cruz couldn't get it hard enough that it's just past Sheehan as he's getting off the mound. No man's land is the perfect description for it. How many infield singles in a no man's land have we seen against the Doors this season?
Characteristic of the early part of the summer here on Cape Cod. Pitch 1 to Chad Stevens is a strike. Stevens from Portland University, batted .284 this past year. Second team all WCC. With a chance to give the Gatemen the lead here in the second inning. The 0-1 is low. Again, a great stop by Harrington, who looks back Antico at first.
That's the benefit of having him start behind the plate. Is his bat may not be as good as Turner's, but he's as good as anybody behind the plate as a backstop. And with a runner on third, that's what you need. You can expect Wareham to have a lot of guys on the base paths this game, and it's going to be up to everybody in order to keep them from crossing home plate, not just the pitching staff.
4 for 11 to start the summer is Stevens. Here is a ball that's tapped back to Sheehan. He's going to throw onto first. Did he get Ross in time? No! Call is safe at first. The run scores, and the Gatemen are up 1-0.
I'm wary of using the word unlucky, but it just seems like that a lot of the RBIs against Falmouth early in the season have been unlucky. It's been a lot of infield singles like that. It's been a lot of stuff in a no man's land. We saw a ton of bloop hits for Hyannis, which is why they were able to score 9 runs, and Falmouth wasn't able to tie that, was only able to tie the game 9-9. Just a lot of quirky hops that have been going against them, and back-to-back ones right here.
Braden Ward showing bunt. Can't connect. And it's strike 1. Ward playing center and batting 9th tonight for the Gatemen. Goes to Washington University, a rising junior. Batted .321 this past year with 26 RBIs. Sheehan taking a look back to Antico. Here's one cracked down the line. It's foul. So 0-2 the count.
Haven't seen Tommy be able to throw too many strikeout pitches yet. This is only his third two-strike count. Otherwise, this inning especially, Gatemen have been jumping all over pitches early in the count. He threw a magnificent changeup to Benjamin Sims to get him swinging. I'd expect to see another one out of the zone, especially with nobody on third base. I want to see what he has for a strikeout pitch because so far it seems like every ground ball has been beating them.
Sheehan does pitch a lot more to contact. Strike three, got him looking. Froze Braden Ward with a fastball that tagged the outside black. Sheehan and the Doors allow one. It was unearned because of the error by Trey Cruz, and we head to the bottom of the second inning. You're listening to the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Cape Cod Coca Cola thanks you for supporting the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod Coca Cola has been proudly refreshing the community for 30 plus years, and we're honored to support the CCBL and many other wonderful organizations on the Cape.
Baseball Factory, which has proudly supported the Cape League for 20-plus seasons, conducts baseball trainings, tournaments, and showcases at over 1,000 events nationwide, providing players with world-class instruction and help with college recruiting. The Baseball Factory program leads to future success both on and off the field for players in both middle school and high school. It's never too early to start. Learn more at baseballfactory.com.
Tyler Ross steps into the box to start off the bottom of the second inning. He watches a ball outside. Ross 0 for 5 to start the summer of 2019. Got an appearance on the mound against Chatham. Struck out 2 and hit 95 on the fastball as Elder again misses in the dirt.
Tyler Ross is yet another switch hitter in the Falmouth lineup. It was such an anomaly last year that they had Cantrell and Davidson,
right,
2 switch hitters. Now they've got 3 switch hitters in the lineup just about every single day. And how about Tyler Ross, a pitcher who can hit 95 and was mostly a pitcher for Alabama, and then a switch hitter who's now playing both positions on the Cape. It's like you can pretty much put this guy anywhere. He's a jack of all trades.
2-1 from Elder, who's pitching from the windup. Foul ball past the Wareham bullpen. Couple of his best performances this year. Offensively, he had 4 hits, 2 of them doubles against Troy about a month ago on May 8th. So the 2-2 misses in, full count. And his best pitching performance was 5 innings pitched with 5 strikeouts against Maine back in March. He can do it both, and he can hit from both sides, and he watches ball 4, second walk issued by Bryce Elder.
Well, this is rare from Bryce Elder. As we mentioned, those walk stats were heavily in favor of pitching to contact and strikeouts, but so far that's now 2 walks he's delivered in 2 innings. And that was a great at-bat by Ross because he was able to work the count 3-2, watch a couple pitches down in the zone, and I think a lot of his teammates are probably appreciative of it as well, getting to see what Miller's stuff is with 2 strikes.
Ball 1 misses to Barron Radcliffe, who's batting in the 7 spot tonight. Moved down a couple spots in the order after a 1 for 7 start. He watches 2 balls, and Elder having trouble finding the zone right now.
This just bodes well for Falmouth. Base runners is the name of the game, and I've been saying it for a couple days now. When you're struggling to put together runs, all you need is base runners just to get some stuff going.
3 straight balls. He issued a 4-pitch walk to Jackson Coots in the first. 2 walks now and 1 K for the righty from Texas. Radcliffe didn't even think about swinging at the 3-0, and it's 3-1 now. Sean Harrington on deck, Zach DeLoach after him. Radcliffe, the big lefty, watches a ball high, and he'll toss his bat back towards the dugout and saunter over to first base. Runners on first and second now for the Doors with nobody out.
Yeah, this is wild, and this is why we're getting such an early visit from the pitching coach for Wareham, because Miller's not a guy who walks a lot of people, so it's all of a sudden he's just finding some discomfort, and he can't quite find the strike zone, and back-to-back walks to start the inning. That's not good when you're only leading 1.
Third free pass of the evening for Elder. Jim Lawler comes out to the mound in his 6th season with the Gatemen. He's the head coach at Gonzaga for a couple of years in the West Coast Conference, had a 64-32 overall record, and made a regional College World Series. Sean Harrington now has a chance with runners on base. Falmouth trying to keep the party going here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Elder checks on the lead runner, Ross. Ross at second, Radcliffe at first.
Looks like the corners are expecting bunt. First baseman Teeter is way up on the grass.
Indeed, he does show bunt, but can't find the ball, and it's pulled back, excuse me. Second time now we've seen Andy Thomas have some defensive signs for the Gatemen. You got to think that's in large part because of the new head coach for Wareham in Jerry Weinstein. Harrington shows bunt again. He did go around. Didn't pull back in time. 1-1.
Yeah, Jerry's a baseball brain. He's been around a lot of places. He's coached in college. He coached with Catuit last year. He was former head coach of Wareham a couple years before that. He's been all over, so he's definitely pulling out all the stops.
The 1-1 is a ball, and then lagging at third base was Chad Stevens. So Tyler Ross says thank you very much and puts runners on the corners.
Great heads-up play. Hey, if you see it, take it. He was already taking a big secondary lead because the infielders were coming in expecting bunt, so nobody's holding him on. And then way in, as you mentioned with Stevens, doesn't get back in time, just kind of fell asleep. We heard back over from the Wareham dugout, but not in time. Ross, really intelligent play.
2-1 to Harrington. Takes a strike down Broadway, and you got to think that large reason that he was bunting was to move Ross over to third, but in fact the fake bunt or pulling back the bunt caused nobody to be covering third base.
Yeah, it worked out itself anyway, so now Harrington can swing away. And better yet for Harrington, he's worked a third straight 3-ball count. So Elder's pitch count is already high, and he's got nowhere to put Harrington really, or else he'll load the bases.
This is pitch number 30, and it's low. 4th walk issued by Elder, who is struggling here in the 2nd inning.
Again, this is crazy because you just look at this guy's stat line.
It was once you started talking, Danny.
You're welcome, Commodores fans. I mean, you look at it, and the guy doesn't walk people. Even in his freshman year, 18 walks in 35 2/3 innings. He's a control pitcher through and through and a strikeout guy above all else.
Yeah.
He had 86 Ks and 83 innings pitched. He only has 1 strikeout. Did come on 3 pitches to Steven Moretto, but still.
Zach DeLoach finishes things off in the Falmouth order, but hoping to keep things going here in the 2nd inning. 0 for 2 yesterday in his first start. He had 1 error, maybe 2, out in center field. Here's a hard hit ball over towards first. He's going to go to second base and no throw back to first. Ross scores and this game is tied.
So not ideal to ground out with the bases loaded. Obviously, you're looking to put something in the gap, but it gets the job done in a 1-run game. That'll bring home a run. I'm sure Falmouth wish they could have done that against Harwich in Game 1 when they only lost 1-0. So now at least they're off that schneid. They're putting together runs early in the game, and maybe things can balloon from here.
Harrington is thrown out at second base. Radcliffe now stands 90 feet away at third, and DeLoach is on first. Top of the order now up for the Doors. Cantrell watches the first pitch, unlike he did last time when he swung at the first pitch and flew out to left field. Right on that line making the catch was Mike Antico. Elder from the stretch. Kicks back and delivers well outside.
Obviously, part of it is that Elder has been throwing so many balls lately and delivering so many walks, which is why Cantrell's more patient. But it always seems like in his second bat, he's a lot more patient than he was in his first at-bat.
Yeah. Something I noticed, Danny, Hayden Cantrell has not walked much this summer. Only once has he worked a free pass. He led the team in walks last year. He was a walk machine. The 1-1 is skied over by the Falmouth bullpen down the right field line. It's in no man's land, and it's going to fall for a base hit. Radcliffe stays at third. Deloach moves over to second, but dropping the ball at short was Bryce Sems, and the bases are loaded. Hayden Cantrell outstretches his arms and looks back and shrugs his shoulders because that was a wacky play to load the bases.
That was the most Little League play I have seen all season long. I mean, we've seen a lot of mistakes, but that one was ridiculous. First of all, why is Radcliffe not going right when that thing hits the grass? Because that's a tough throw. I mean, I can give him the benefit of the doubt on that. The ball goes into second, still not enough time to react, and should have been a dead duck at second Deloach because there's nothing he can do.
Right.
The best he can do is go halfway down the line, and then he's a dead duck, but then the ball's dropped by Sem. So I don't know. Hayden Cantrell gets lucky with a bloop hit that just barely hits the chalk. Probably could have had an RBI too.
Trey Cruz watches a first pitch strike.
That was bad. Falmouth just got a gift, and if they don't capitalize on it, that would be a real stinger.
He singled in the first inning. Now the sixth door to step into the plate. Cruz lifts one into shallow center field. Under it is Ward. Radcliffe is going to tag. Here's the throw. It'll be stopped by Elder, except he lets it go by him. And Radcliffe sliding in, giving the Doors a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, Barron creating a cloud of dust after sliding in pretty deep into the dirt, completely covering home plate. But good thing for Falmouth is that Ward's throw was way offline because he threw it pretty early. He had a good arm on that one, but it was just a little too far up the line. Radcliffe was able to be well ahead of the throw, first of all. Not like it would have gotten him anyway. So 2 runs now home for Falmouth on no hits. That'll get the job done at least. They take the lead regardless.
Austin Langworthy flew out to center in the second inning. He gets his second AB in as many innings. Bryce Elder faced 5 Doors in the first inning. Langworthy is the 7th here in the second. Hard hit ball, but it's well foul.
Austin just has that long loping swing. It's very arm heavy, which is never a good thing, but somehow he makes it work. Only issue is he's usually late on a lot of baseballs, which is good for opposite field power. He's shown it off. But you foul a lot of good pitches off like that one.
The 1-1 is at the shins to put the count in Langworthy's favor. He batted .283 this past year at Florida. A rising senior with the Gators. This one skied back above the press box. 2-2. Langworthy's best game of the year, or one of them, I should say. He has so many good performances. 6 RBIs against Florida Atlantic. And a little over a year ago, he hit a walk-off home run in the Super Regional against Auburn. Ball 3 misses low and inside.
Yeah, sent the Gators to the College World Series. But now, fast forward a year later, Auburn's sitting in Omaha right now, and Florida was sent home early. Not like they really deserve to be in the tournament anyway.
The 3-2, 2 outs, 2 runners on. Langworthy gets a piece and stays alive. Runners were going on the pitch as Deloach is at second base and Cantrell is at first.
Interested to see how much speed Deloach has. You know he's an outfielder, so you got to assume he's got a good amount, at least moderate speed. But wonder if he can be another threat for swiping bases, because we know Cantrell can, we know Dunn can. We'll see if he can too.
Runners are in motion again. Same result. We'll try the 3-2 one more time.
Looked like back-to-back changeups that Elder went with, and Langworthy doing just enough to tip it. And that's exactly what you want to do with 2 strikes, is fight off the really good pitches, the ones that are bottoming out like that one, and then wait for him to make a mistake.
Hard hit ball down the first base line, but just foul.
There was your mistake. It was left about thigh high on the inside corner, right where Langworthy likes it. We saw him deposit a ton of those types of pitches over the right field fence last summer. This time he gets on top of it, just a tad out ahead of it, though. It looked like it was going to go right over the bag. Instead, dove about a couple inches towards the right of it. And now Austin has to fight back in there and see if he can do it one more time, try to straighten something out.
Pitch number 9 of the AB. Ball 4 misses in. Fourth walk of this inning issued by Bryce Elder, and the Doors have the bases loaded yet again. Jerry Weinstein making a quick call to the bullpen as he jogs out to talk to Elder. Not his day, Danny.
No, it's the walks will always come back and bite you, and he's just begging Falmouth basically to put runs against him because he keeps giving guys free passes. He walked the first 2 batters of the inning, which is always going to cause you trouble. First 3 batters, pardon me, I should say. And then he gets 2 outs, and he's still walking guys. So Bryce Elder clearly didn't have his stuff today, and he's got some reworking to do, maybe a mental change to make, because that's a very rare instance where Elder has trouble with location.
Well, a teammate of Bryce Elder will come in. It's Coy Cobb, rising sophomore down at Texas. Had a great year with the Longhorns, a 3.45 ERA, 1-3 record in 44 1/3 innings pitched. He's a native of the Lone Star State as well. Grew up in Caddy? Caddy or Katy?
I'm going to go with Katy.
I'm going to go Caddy. You want to put $1 on it?
Katy.
Yeah.
There's no 2 T's. That would make it Caddy, I would think.
You want to put $1 on it?
Sure.
All right. Bet. So this rising sophomore stands at 6'4", 195. He's a righty as well. And he's going to come in a jam with the bases loaded. And, Danny, we've said this before when relievers come in at a time like this, but there's no room for error.
No, absolutely not. You got nowhere to put Jackson Coots. He's already walked once and only took 4 pitches. He's got a pretty good eye, and he had a good game yesterday. He's just looking for another chance to do that. He's only a temporary player, so he's still looking for his chance to prove to Jeff Trundy that he belongs. And another benefit for Coots and the Commodores is that Wareham brought in another righty to face a lefty. Coots not really playing to the matchup. I'm not sure how many lefties that they have in their bullpen. Maybe they want to save some of them towards the latter part of the game. But this is going to work out for Coots. He's going to have a better angle on it. He's got the matchup in his favor. And then the rest of this lineup, which is, as we mentioned earlier, heavily left-handed.
So the cleanup man, Jackson Coots, will get a chance to add a couple more RBIs. Designated hitting now for the 2nd straight game. He played well yesterday. One of a few bright spots for the Commodores.
Yeah, he had a hit, so that's beneficial for Falmouth, who
That'll
really
help, right?
really struggled to hit. I mean, 9 hits over 2 games, only 1 run. He did score the 1 run. He was hit by a pitch, so he just kind of finds ways to get on base, whether it's a walk, a hit by pitch, or getting a hit. Jackson has actually been a pretty solid number up there at the plate.
His father used to coach for the Commodores. Swing at the first pitch is a broken bat, flare shot into center field, but Ward is able to get to it in time. So Coy Cobb gets out of the jam. Falmouth takes the lead at 2-1 Doors as we head to the 3rd.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod Healthcare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Welcome inside the broadcast booth. David Korzanowski, joined alongside Katie Florio. Danny LaRose is taking a brief, we'll call it a bathroom break. Katie, what have you got for us today?
Yeah, so I was talking to Tommy before the game, and, at Notre Dame, I guess it's safe to say he was overused this season.
Yeah.
10 out of his 15 starts, he went 100-plus pitches. So I asked him, how are you feeling now? And he said, he feels fine. He likes the routine he's in. He's getting more comfortable. Obviously, his second start already in 1 week, doing well. But the one thing he really touched on was that the rest he's had between this season at Notre Dame and his time coming to Falmouth, he's really just been able to rest and kind of build the strength back up in his arm.
And he's been staying in that routine, 60 pitches in his last outing. And he seems, you would have no way of knowing that he pitched that much.
No, not at all. And he's a mellow guy, you
Right.
know, just talking to him, not much emotion. But, yeah, he definitely goes out there and keeps his cool on the mound. And obviously so far another good outing for him up to this point.
He's gotten out of a couple jams as well, just allowed that one run, but it was unearned. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
As now Sheehan has a 1-1 count. A little bit of a half swing. Back to Sheehan. Over to Tyler Ross for the first out. And Danny's back.
I was not in the bathroom, you liar. Bathroom is at
I
least
tried to-
4 miles
That's
away.
true. That's true. You'd be gone for about 3 innings. So 1 up, 1 down here in the top of the third inning. As Ruddick had a little bit of a half swing, a check swing, but it made contact. Here's first pitch swinging to Baker. Cantrell fields it on a backhand and a nice throw over to first. 2 down, and this is the quickest inning that Sheehan has worked so far.
Yeah, he's honestly earned himself some quick innings because he has only hit 1 3-ball count. He's gotten a lot of early swings from these Wareham hitters. It was just in the second inning things got a little bit long because of a couple of lucky hits. 2 infield hits that brought home a run. That's why guys kept getting on base, including an error as well. Otherwise, he should be pretty much facing the minimum.
Sheehan has thrown now 29 pitches, 20 strikes, and 1 ball. 1 ball. 1 ball on that count. 9 balls total. But I want to hit on more of what Katie was saying because it really is ludicrous, preposterous, I don't know what the word is, for his statistics in terms of how much he was used at Notre Dame. A 2-0 count now to Thomas. Strike 1 right down Broadway. But, Danny, he threw 1,380 pitches with the Irish. I was trying to see where that stacked up in Division I baseball as Thomas watches another ball downstairs. And the leader in all of NCAA baseball in innings pitched is Carl Kaufman, who goes to Michigan. Michigan in Omaha, so a longer season for the Wolverines. He pitched 124 innings as this is lined right to Ross. Pitched 124 innings. And he threw 1,471 pitches. His last start against Texas Tech a few nights ago threw 101 pitches. So before that, Tommy Sheehan had thrown more than the leader in innings pitched in NCAA baseball.
So Tommy pretty much jammed 92 innings, is it, or 93?
92, yeah.
92 innings into a about 3-month season, if you count February into late May, in about a 3.5-month season. And now he's on the Cape pitching even more.
Right.
He's only listed as a temporary player, and I think it might just be out of necessity. I think it's because there comes a certain point where they just have to say, well, we shouldn't be allowed to pitch you anymore. So you're very talented, but you're temporary because you can't be here too long.
And anything above like 1,200 is a lot of pitches. It's a lot of work. But a lot of these guys who are up there, right? Isaiah Campbell, Arkansas, Reed Detmers, Louisville. Those are the top 3 guys in innings pitched. Those are all teams in Omaha. Notre Dame got bounced in the first round of the ACC tournament.
Yeah, they played 2 games. They didn't even make it into the last week of May. Right. So it's kind of amazing, and also to see that you would expect maybe he would have like 100+ innings, but he was throwing a lot of those pitches in 5-6 innings. So I mean, you'd have to look through box scores individually and stuff like that. But to see maybe was he walking guys or was he getting into a lot of like high counts just from foul balls, stuff like that.
From what I saw from Tommy Sheehan this year at Notre Dame, he does pitch a lot more to contact, so he gets runners on. He's not afraid to throw it down the middle of the plate, especially after his walk struggles freshman year.
Yes.
So a mid-4 ERA, not amazing, but he was Notre Dame's Friday guy for a majority of the season. Got bumped to Saturday towards the end of the year.
Going up against ACC talent, too. So, you can expect that they would rely on him. If he's your best pitcher, you're facing the best teams, you're going to go to him every single time.
But one more interesting thing that I'll hit on before we turn our attention to the bottom of the third. Mick Aoki, Notre Dame's head coach, recently fired, so he probably does have an innings limit, but I'm assuming it's him talking to his parents and maybe the trainer here about
it's
it.
Up to Tommy now,
because he has no one breathing down his neck from South Bend. Notre Dame's still in search of their new head coach. Sky fly ball into left field. Plenty of time for Antico to get there for out number 1.
And Tommy's showing no signs of stopping either. I mean, I'm sure if you were to ask him, he would give you a one-word answer that he's ready to keep pitching out however long it takes.
Because Katie hit on it briefly, but she asked him how he felt. I've asked him how he felt a couple times. Good.
Does your arm hurt? Why would it?
No. Feel fine. Mellow is one way to put it. He is a little bit of a quiet guy.
He didn't tell anybody it was his birthday today.
I know. We literally went down to the dugout and told the whole team. Everyone was like, really? Including Jeff Trundy. Tyler Ross has a 1-1 count with 1 down here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Heck of a birthday present would be his first win of the season.
Yeah. 4 innings pitched in that first start. Through 60 pitches, no runs, gave up just 3 hits as strike number 2 tags the outside black. Tyler Ross switch hitting, batting from the left for the second time. Count now even 2-2.
This is really the first time we're able to see pitches from Coy Cobb. Jackson Coots swung at the first pitch that Cobb threw of the game, flew out. Then Steven Moretto swung first pitch. So now finally Ross is saying, all right, let's see what you got, kid.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ross reached on a walk and scored in the second inning. He sits down with a forwards K here in the 3rd.
Well, in the same vein, see what you got, and his curveball is solid right now. He threw it twice in that at-bat to Ross. One time it was backdoor and hung on the outside corner. This one he spiked about 58 feet just in front of the plate, and Ross was down without a whimper. So it's a very solid curveball that I'm expecting to see a lot more.
Coy Cobb out on the bump. He came in relief in that second inning into a bases-loaded jam with 2 outs. And he forced a flyout from Jackson Coots on the first pitch. Baron Radcliffe takes a big swing and gets just a little bit of it. 0-1. Penn is quiet for the doors, so it'll be Sheehan's for the 4th and maybe a little bit more. His dad and brother are in town. His brother Jack Sheehan also playing with Notre Dame. As ball 1 misses inside. And he's over in the NECBL in Martha's Vineyard. It's not a bad spot to be for the summer.
Has he not had any games or anything these past couple days? He was in Harwich yesterday, too.
He was indeed. Swing and a miss, strike 2. He pitched 4 nights ago, and then the team went on a road trip, but they weren't going to use him because he had just started.
Oh, okay.
So the GM gave him the green light to come over and watch his brother, as Baron Radcliffe has a high chopper over towards first. Nice underhand pass to the running Coy Cobb for the 3rd out. Nice defense by Jacob Teeter over at first base. Still 2-1 your score at Gov Fuller Field. We'll be back after the break.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
Red Shirt Fridays is a national program created to acknowledge, honor, and support our troops who put themselves in harm's way to defend our freedom. In support of this program, the Cape League teams will be wearing a specially designed red jersey every Friday. Support our troops and join us by wearing red each Friday. What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Shirt Friday a step further. In honor of your military, please head down to the intern tent.
Top of the 4th here at Gov Fuller Field. Tommy Sheehan checking his lid real quick after batting gloves with Steven Moretto over at 3rd base, and Sheehan's been good. That 1 run was unearned because the person who scored it in Jacob Teeter reached on an error.
Yeah, and really he should have faced the minimum through 3 because in the first inning he did allow a hit, but got a inning-ending double play just as quickly.
From the University of Miami, number 7, Adrian Del Castillo.
A nice 1-2-3 inning worked by Sheehan in the 3rd. Ball 1 misses high to Del Castillo. Del Castillo grounded out to Hayden Cantrell over at short, and he'll send it back in that direction. Same result, 1 down.
Interesting because Del Castillo, not much of a ground ball hitter while at Miami, more of a fly ball guy, line drives as well. Obviously, most of his hits were line drives, save his handful of home runs, but he was flying out a lot. This time around, seems with the wood bat, he might be a little behind on some of these pitches, and Sheehan throwing the ball low to him, which is a great approach against a powerful lefty. Keep the ball low, keep the ball away, far away from his wheelhouse, and so far it's had the exact result that you would expect.
Harrington almost scooped that ball, which skipped in the dirt, but it gets past him. No runner on base, though, so no problem. Teeter reaching on the error in the second inning and coming around to score. He watches a strike. Sheehan's kept it low today. Hasn't missed upstairs much at all.
It's like his freshman woes with control have just all of a sudden evaporated now. A couple years later, he is all control.
1-1, 1 out. Beautiful slider for strike 2. That freshman year at Notre Dame was a little bit more rough. 5.74 ERA. He had 41 walks, only 27 strikeouts in 62 2/3 innings pitched. 1-2 chopped over towards Ross. It's going to skip and get past him. Underhanded to Sheehan, who tries to field it with his bare hand and just misplayed by Tyler Ross.
I think that's just that's kind of Tyler Ross getting used to the position. He's used to hitting, he's used to pitching, but probably hasn't played all that much first base given how he threw 30-plus innings on the mound for Alabama this past spring. So that's a high chopper that he comes in quickly on. He thinks that everything's going right, and all of a sudden it's coming up near the bag, takes a weird hop, and it's probably one he wishes he had back. Just think to himself, let me sit back, wait for it to bounce high for me so that I can catch it at about eye level instead of having to make an awkward pick.
First pitch to Sems is sliced foul out of play. I think if I'm Ross there, you just got to sit back on it. He kind of moved in on the ball, and then he got it on a hop. That's why it went off of his glove and his cleat over towards the Falmouth dugout.
And a veteran first baseman would know the base being there. It's probably going to carry him off it or something like that.
0-1 the count. Sheehan pitching from the stretch. Teeter has been pesky. Must have been praying to the baseball gods this morning because he's reached on an error twice now.
Yeah.
Sems with a 1-1 count.
Sorry, David. Doesn't help his average at all. He still falls to 0 for 2.
True. Here's one that will get into the gap. Cruz was playing shaded way over towards second base. Baron Radcliffe misplays a little bit in right, but no problem as Teeter stays put at second. Now runners on first and second with 1 out.
One of the first real solid hits that we've seen since pretty much Ruddock when he led off the game in the first inning. Otherwise, there have been a couple of errors, a couple of infield singles, but just about twice has Sheehan been beat, and now he's going to have to buckle down, continue to keep the ball low against Antico, try to force a ground ball double play to end the inning.
Mike Antico, traditionally the 3-hitter for the Gatemen. He's batting 7th tonight. Takes a ball from Sheehan. He had a hit opening night in a win against Brewster. And a couple against Hyannis in that 12-1 drumming of the Harbor Hawks. Still winless.
And they've been like crushed in a lot of games.
Ball 2 misses outside. Yeah, I remember a stat before the Falmouth Hyannis tie that I found. They last year lost a lot of big games too.
Yeah, that's why they had that negative run differential.
Right, despite being second in the West Division.
Yeah.
They had the most 5+ run losses out of any team in the Cape League in 2018, 0-5-1 to start this year.
And they always have a really good lineup. At least last year they had a really good lineup, but pretty much no pitching. And it kind of seems like it's that way again because they put up a lot of runs. I mean, they put up 9 against Falmouth.
Yeah.
Put up 5 yesterday. Still lost 11-5 though. They just get beat by a lot every time.
2-1 is going to find a gap into left field, staying put at third base as Teeter. Bases now loaded. And this is what happens sometimes when Tommy Sheehan pitches to contact, is they find the gaps and he runs into trouble.
Yeah, it's just been a couple of textbook singles, one through the hole between the first and second baseman, and now between the third baseman and the shortstop. So kind of both those holes on the infield found perfectly by Wareham hitting, and what that tells me is that they found the adjustment. They know that Sheehan's keeping the ball low. They know that he's keeping it on the outside corners. They're responding in turn and just sending the ball right back where it came from, not trying to do too much with it.
Yeah, that's a really good assessment, Danny, as neither of those balls were really too hard hit. This one is a fair ball down the first baseline. Teeter comes in to score, and waving around is Sems. Little bit of chaos from Radcliffe out and right. 2 runs score. The Gatemen retake the lead. It's 3-2.
This time it's Stevens, and again, they're just kind of going with the baseball, poking one over the first base bag. A little harder struck than the previous 2, but finds a hole yet again. And that's the low ball starting to hurt Sheehan a little bit because the Gatemen have made that adjustment. And Tyler Ross giving it his all over at first base. Would have been a spectacular play if he had stopped it. Unfortunately for Falmouth, it kind of died out there in right field, which is why the second run was able to come home.
3 straight hits for the Gatemen. They scored 2 runs on that double from Stevens. Braden Ward now up with 2 runners in scoring position. So 3 runs given up now by Sheehan. Only one of them earned. Again, Teeter scoring twice after reaching on an error twice.
Errors will always come back and bite you.
Sheehan takes a stroll. Commodores wearing their home whites. Sheehan's got the maroon stirrups. Kind of a good look. Gatemen, on the other hand, they're putrid away blues.
You don't like them?
No, not a fan. Ward watches a ball low. I just don't like the color combo. It's like a dark maroon and navy blue.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of doesn't
teams,
do much for me.
A lot of teams on the Cape that wear blue and red.
True.
Harwich does, Wareham does, Bourne does.
Yeah, I never noticed that actually. Swing and a miss, strike 1. 1-1 the count to Ward, who struck out looking in the second inning. That ended that second frame, where the Gatemen scored 1. Sheehan looks into Harrington. Staying close to third base is Mike Antico. Ward holds up again. That slider missing a little bit too far outside, and the Gatemen not biting.
Yeah, Sheehan is now reacting to it's just all an adjustments game as baseball, and now he's reacting to, hey, if you're going to take my low stuff and you're going to find holes with it, I'm going to have to be a little bit finer and try to get some strike calls.
2-1 downstairs. 3-1 count. Big pitch coming up from Tommy Sheehan. It's a hitter's count with 2 runners in scoring position. Gatemen have 2 here in the 4th, 3 on the night. They lead the Doors by 1. Foul ball past the bullpen, and the count full.
This is a big out to get just because you have the top of the order coming back up when Ruddick and Baker coming back. And Ruddick has beaten Sheehan once, but if you can get an out right here, don't have to worry about bases being loaded or any of that. You can just kind of settle in, forget the runners on second and third, and give your best shot. But, of course, there's first base open, so a walk will load up the bases for the top.
This one cracked into right field. Radcliffe has a read on it. He makes the catch, and tagging is Antico. Throw is high past Harrington. Advancing to third is Stevens. The run scores. It's 4-2.
Tough draw for Baron Radcliffe because he lined it up perfectly. He knew that the runner was going to be tagging. He's got a great arm, and he just fires one about 10 feet up the line and 5 feet over Harrington's head. Just kind of airmails it. Maybe didn't get the best grip on it, but he would have had it in plenty of time. It looked like it was sizing up to be an easy tag out at home. Would have been an outfield assist. Would have been a 1-run game, but instead kind of airmails the baseball. And out number 2 does yield a run.
Ruddick due up next. He shows bunt, but it's foul. And this is very characteristic of some of the struggles that Tommy Sheehan got into this year. As I've said a couple times, pitches to contact, does get hit around. And Notre Dame's defense behind him was awful in some games.
Mm-hmm.
Cost him some decisions. But you see that Earned run average mid-4, as I said. And today, the Commodores has also had some defensive struggles.
Yeah, now brings it up to 3 errors. The run scores, that's an earned run. Because the run scoring wasn't because of the throw, but advancing to third is Stevens because of the throw. So if he were to score, that would be another unearned run.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. So 4 runs allowed by Tommy Sheehan. And a couple of them unearned. So he's trying to get out of this jam and keep Stevens at third base. Foul back into the screen, and Sheehan now settling in with the fastball.
Yeah, he's starting to locate his fastball a little bit more, and he could use a couple swinging strikes just to be able to say that I can throw it past these guys again so that he can go back to it, because you don't want to become too consistent with your breaking pitches.
Fastball sits at about 92 to 93, can touch 94. Foul ball, and the count stays the same. Darren Baker due up next, and something that's interesting, Danny, you mentioned the top of the order. It's largely been held off the base paths, a combined 1 for 6. Our hitters 1, 2, and 3. On the other hand, hitters 6, 7, and 8, 5 for 6. Ball 2 misses low.
You never want to get too confident with the top of the order. They're batting 1, 2, and 3 for a reason. They are the better hitters on the team. And if you've kept them quiet so far, it's only going to last so long, especially as you get further into the game and they see you more.
The 2-2 into left field. Austin Langworthy makes the catch. And we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Wareham gets 3 runs on 3 hits, 2 errors for the Doors, and 1 runner left on base. We'll be back with the home half after the break.
The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Baseball Factory, which has proudly supported the Cape League for 20-plus seasons, conducts baseball trainings, tournaments, and showcases at over 1,000 events nationwide, providing players with world-class instruction and help with college recruiting. The Baseball Factory program leads to future success both on and off the field for players in both middle school and high school. It's never too early to start. Learn more at baseballfactory.com.
Red Shirt Fridays is a national program created to acknowledge, honor, and support our troops who put themselves in harm's way to defend our freedom. In support of this program, the Cape League teams will be wearing a specially designed red jersey every Friday. Support our troops and join us by wearing red each Friday.
For sales and rentals of Caterpillar machinery, generators, and marine engines, visit MiltonCat.com, your area cat dealer. Milton Cat, the Cape and Islands Caterpillar dealer, is proud to be a sponsor of today's ball game.
Coy Cobb settles in and delivers. Foul tip off the head of the bat. Sean Harrington, 0-1 the count. He walked his first time up, was thrown out at second base on the fielder's choice from Deloach. Doors now trailing. Yet again in this game, they were down 1-0 going into the second, but scored 2 runs and took the lead. Gatemen get 3 back in the top of the 4th, and they lead by 2. Ball 1 missing low, 1-1.
So Sean only hit 2 home runs this past season, his junior year, but the way he swings the bat with such an uppercut, and he tries to generate a lot of power with his legs, I'm excited. I think he can do it.
Hard hit ball that is booted over by Teeter, but covering the bag is Coy Cobb, and still out. We saw Teeter make a nice play to end the 3rd inning, and he does a good job to recollect himself for the first out here in the 4th.
Yeah, Teeter and Cobb are more of probably the most athletic duo at first base and pitcher, respectively, that I've seen all summer. These guys, they made a fantastic pitch play before. They looked like a running back and a quarterback running an option. And then this one, Teeter recovering really quickly with the bare hand spinning around and firing a strike right in stride to Cobb covering the base. So those are two of the more athletic. Pitchers can be athletes, too.
Oh, yeah. 0-1 to Zach DeLoach. Count now even after that fastball is outside. Coy Cobb has settled in nicely. This is now his second full inning of work. High fly ball. It's in shallow center field. Calling off the center fielder Ward is Sems at short, 2 down.
Looks like the early season script that was a starter is going to be really, really solid against Falmouth, and then bring in the reliever, and he's going to get batted around. It's kind of flipped in the last couple of games. We saw yesterday that the starter for Harwich in Game 2 got only an inning and a third. They brought in a reliever, and he shut the doors down pretty well from then on. And in this one, they got to Elder pretty quickly, and now Cobb has been shutting them down. Nobody has gotten on base against him.
Hayden Cantrell comes up empty on the first pitch he sees from Cobb. Thought about swinging at that letter high fastball, 1-1. Doors only with 2 hits now in the bottom of the 4th inning. Bats have struggled. This one is a single into right field, though. No chance for Ruddick out at right. Runner aboard with 2 outs.
That's good for Hayden. We said that he got into a little bit of a hiccup in the past couple of days, that he started striking out a lot more, that he started not getting on base as much as he was, but now he's responded by going 2 for 3, back-to-back singles in these last 2 at-bats, so he's starting to get back into the swing of things, as we expected from Hayden.
Hayden Cantrell is running on the first pitch, as this is a high fly ball that's going to land out in left. Thought Antico had a read on it, but he put the brakes on. Couldn't get there in time, and now back-to-back singles for hitters 1 and 2.
Yeah, I thought Antico was going to get there also. It looked like he was kind of slowing up, like he was going to be able to settle underneath it, and it fell well in front of him. So a little bit of a gift for Cruz, who now improves to 2 for 3 on the day himself, plus that sacrifice fly that brought home an RBI in the 2nd inning. The top of the order has been getting on base pretty frequently for the Doors, and Austin Langworthy up right now has been one of those guys benefiting from it as well.
Hayden Cantrell was running on the pitch. Didn't advance to third, though, because that would have been a quick throw in from Antico in left field. Austin Langworthy, 0 for 1 today. Flew out in the first, walked in the second. He watches a ball high. Danny, can I be selfish for a second?
Go for it.
I want to start seeing some more extra base hits.
I want to see some home runs.
Yeah. Only 1 home run on the season for the Commodores. 4 doubles. That makes 5 extra base hits, which is last in the Cape League.
Yep. Not surprising because, I mean, as we mentioned, that they've been not really getting too many hits lately, and when they do get hits, it's just single after single, it pretty much feels like. And not with guys on base either.
2-0 to Langworthy. Cracked back behind the press box, 2-1. Wareham, on the other hand, 15 extra base hits. That's 4th in the CCBL. Falmouth, 8th in the Cape League in batting average. Wareham, 1st. Doors batting .215 as a team, as a ball inside to Langworthy. And this is a hitter's count.
Yep. Lang got a great pitch on 2-0. He was just a little off of it, but might expect another fastball in here.
The 3-1 from Cobb. Cracked over towards Ryan Eiley, the first base coach. Full count.
So I'm not sure exactly on Cobb's total arsenal, but it looked like a sinker that I saw just there. It didn't have the speed that a changeup would. A changeup would be a lot slower, but had that downward moving action that a sinker does with the speed of a fastball, and that's why it was spiked right into the dirt by Austin Langworthy. He was all over it, but just that downward arc of it forced him to ground it.
Full count, 2 outs. Strike 3, got him looking. Late call from Jeff Merzel out behind the plate. The dugout doesn't like it. Doors get 2 hits, score no runs, leave 2 runners stranded, and Cobb with his biggest strikeout of the night. It's still 4-2 Wareham, heading to the 5th.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
Cape Cod Coca Cola thanks you for supporting the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod Coca Cola has been proudly refreshing the community for 30-plus years, and we're honored to support the CCBL and many other wonderful organizations on the Cape.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/bloodcenter. Red Shirt Fridays is a national program created to acknowledge, honor, and support our troops who put themselves in harm's way to defend our freedom. In support of this program, the Cape League teams will be wearing a specially designed red jersey every Friday. Support our troops and join us by wearing red each Friday.
The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape.
Bunt laid down the third base line. It will trickle foul. Starting things off for the Gatemen is Darren Baker, 0 for 2 today. Grounded into a double play and grounded out to short. Again, son of Dusty Baker. Longtime manager in the MLB. Was most recently with the Nationals.
And Darren was drafted by Washington in 2017 in the 28th round.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Who would have known?
No idea. 0-1 misses outside. Cal, a team that made the NCAA tournament this year, bounced on the regional stage. 1-1. Baker thought about it. He holds up. Merzel calls it a strike nonetheless. Merzel was very quick to shut down the chirps from the Falmouth dugout after that strikeout to Austin Langworthy. Here's a strikeout that Harrington drops, but he lofts it over to Ross. 1 down.
Quick work done by Tommy Sheehan. Looks like he's bounced back nicely from that 4th inning where he got hit around quite a bit, allowed 3 hits, did get burnt with 2 errors as well, so saw a ton of guys get on base, but he comes back with only 4 pitches, and his stuff is moving really well. I mean, that was a fantastic breaking ball that settled in the dirt, and Baker had no chance.
Fly ball out to left. A little bit of a run for Langworthy. He tries to make the play. It's off the glove and lands foul. Andy Thomas was at second base by the time that ball landed. Just a long way for Lang to go.
Yeah, really long way, and I'm surprised he dropped it because he's such a sure outfielder. Only 1 error, obviously that's not an error, it landed in foul territory, would have been if it landed in fair territory because he got his glove on it. So only 1 error for Langworthy in his entire collegiate career. That's over 3 years. And then he just somehow doesn't come down with that one. Ricochets off the mitt. Wonder what went wrong as it was coming down.
Left field primarily in the shade. A little bit of sun trickling through, but maybe that threw him for a loop. There's a hard hit ball past Cantrell. No chance for the shortstop, so Thomas will get on board with a single.
It's his first time getting on base, and finally he pulled a ball. The previous 2 times he put both of them towards first base. Line out towards first base actually in the 3rd, so he's got 2 hard hit balls, but finally he was able to get a little bit earlier on the pitch and put it where nobody was.
Michael Landry will go to the bullpen. Javin Drake comes in from Western Illinois. Second appearance of the summer for Javin, who came in relief against Hyannis and really settled things down for the Doors when the relievers were struggling.
Yeah, Javin Drake only faced 6 batters in that game, but it was probably the most important 6 batters. He was able to settle them down in only about an inning and a third of work. Allowed the 1 hit, did allow a walk, struck out 1. And again, not a lot of batters, but in a very important part, it was a chance in the game for Hyannis to take a lead because he came in with runners on base. More runners on base than he is coming in right now, and that's part of the reason why Falmouth was able to end up tying that game. Obviously, a tie's not a win, but the way the Commodores played in that ball game, I think a tie was as best as they were going to hope for.
Drake getting comfortable on the rubber. for the doors. Pretty good interview as well with him post-game after that tie against Hyannis in Game 3 of this summer. Drake wears number 34 as number 35. Tommy Sheehan heads back to the bullpen, getting the happy birthday and congratulations from his teammates. A pretty solid start for Sheehan. Some errors in the field, and he did get hit around a little bit.
A lot of errors in the field. I mean, 3 errors is never going to help you out, and a bunch of those guys came in to score, too. And then 7 hits, which is a lot more than we saw his first time around. I think part of it is the team's getting used to the wood bats. Now it's their second week on the Cape. They're starting to adjust and getting back into the swing of things, playing every single day. Also, because this Wareham team is such a solid hitting squad. I mean, they lead the Cape in average. They have those 15 extra base hits coming into today, like you mentioned. Last year, they were one of the best offensive teams. This year, they're one of the best offensive teams. It just seems like they're perennially a powerhouse at the plate, and Sheehan had a tough time against that, which is why there were so many hits against them.
Javin Drake, a 4.37 ERA, and a similar story as his teammate Tommy Sheehan. He's a little bit taller at 6'3", 200. Right-handed pitcher as opposed to Tommy Sheehan, the lefty. But he had a 4.37 ERA, 7-6 record, 103 innings pitched, and 109 strikeouts. So pitches more as a strikeout pitcher, but had that big workload.
Yeah, really big workload, and threw 2 complete games like Sheehan did. I think Sheehan threw 2, maybe
Correct.
3 complete games in his season. So, I mean, when you're with Western Illinois, you're not in the Power 5. You're up north, so you might not be playing in as many games up against the best talent. You're going to have to come to the Cape in order to show out in front of these scouts. Javin Drake understands that, and so far, so good. I mean, just because you've thrown 100 innings doesn't necessarily mean that your arm's going to fall off. We know that. Guys in the majors do it, year in and year out, 100, even 200 if you're Clayton Kershaw. So
Drake squats behind the mound, takes his time to settle in. So despite pitching about 12 innings more than Tommy Sheehan, Sheehan got him beat by 23 pitches. 13.57 in 2019 for Javin Drake. Quick pickoff move over to first. Thomas is back in time.
it's going to be a tough spot for Javin Drake to come into because he's got the middle of the lineup coming up. Only 1 out in this inning, and this middle of the lineup has been getting on base constantly.
Strike 1 to Del Castillo, and if I'm a pitcher, I don't want to face Jacob Teeter either. No. Just seems to reach every time he gets up. Reached on an error by Cruz and then an error by Ross at first. Scored both times. The 0-1 from Drake. He's going to try the pickoff move again. Thomas doesn't need to slide back this time. Danny, you talked about that offensive firepower for Wareham. Cape League playoff MVP last year in 2018, Austin Shenton. Absolutely mashed. One of the most impressive players we saw all of last summer.
Yeah, he destroyed the Commodores, too. He was a Commodore killer.
0-1 is a nice curveball. 0-2. Wareham, a perfect 6-0 in the playoffs last year. Swept Cotuit in the first round. Swept Falmouth in the West Division final. Very close game out at Spillane Field in Game 1, a 4-3 win for the Gatemen. 7-4 in Game 2 here at the Gov. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A late call from Jeff Merzel for the second out.
That was barely a swing. His wrist definitely broke, but I don't know if he went around. I'm not sure if they appealed either down to second to ask Rick Emerson what his opinion was, but very late call, like you said. All of a sudden, Del Castillo is walking back to the dugout, but hey, Drake will take it. That's huge, a 3-pitch strikeout.
Here is Teeter, reached twice, both times on an error in the field. Strike 1 from Drake. And to finish off that story about Wareham last season, they also swept the Chatham Anglers in the CCBL final. They were crowned at Veterans Field in the second week of August last year. Ball 1 misses low. Longtime manager Don Sneddon hung up his manager's cap with the W on it, and Jerry Weinstein, now the head coach for the Gatemen.
Yeah, so not really a downgrade even after you just won a championship.
Jerry Weinstein, pitching coach for Cotuit last year, and he's been all over the place. Quite the coaching resume for Weinstein. Drake tries the curveball again. You said you were talking to him before the game.
Yeah, he's a very friendly guy, I noticed, and he heard that I go to Miami down in Florida, and he said, I coached at Miami, I think in 83 or 84, he said. He said, I was on the team that got 4th place in Omaha, and then he goes on to say that he thought the team wasn't that great because they only had one MLB draft pick on that Omaha team that finished in 4th place, but he was able to coach under Ron Frazier, the legendary Ron Frazier, who's, a lot of stuff in Miami is named after. He's got a statue out in front of Mark Light Field. So he's learned from the best.
The 2-1. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Harrington will throw down to second base on a late steal from Thomas, but he doesn't even need to slide now. A runner in scoring position here in the top of the 5th inning.
Very late steal from Thomas because that was nearly a close play if Harrington is able to get it on a line. Even after he dropped it, had to scoop it up. If only Harrington had his arm a little bit stronger. Just need a couple more feet on that, and then it probably could have been a play over at second.
Jacob Teeter in search of his first RBI of the summer. Instead, he comes up empty. Excuse me. Foul tip, and the count stays the same.
I don't know where he fouled it. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see it skip, but evidently it's a foul ball.
A lot of people talking to Jeff Merzel in these past couple innings. Questions, exclamations, etc. He calls for time. Teeter steps back in. 2-2, 2 outs. Andy Thomas on second base. Javin Drake on the bump after Sheehan was pulled, throwing 4 1/3. Broken bat. It could be trouble for Cruz. Throw away. And coming home is Thomas. It's booted. Scoring the 5th run of the game is Andy Thomas as the throw from Ross was past Harrington. Teeter moves over to second on another wacky play, and we'll see how it's scored. It is another error.
As it should be. It's another error on Ross. It's now one fielding error on Tyler Ross and now a throwing error. And that should not have been a run that comes home. Trey Cruz did everything right. He had a tough play behind the bag, fields it on a backhand, probably could have eaten the ball, but I think with 2 outs, he wants to get it over to first and he wants to end the inning. Ross quickly delivers home when he sees the runner coming from third, who probably got a little bit too greedy, did Thomas, and just threw it way away from Harrington. There's nothing Harrington could do. They would have had him out if it's an accurate throw, and now 4 errors against the Doors. It's just not looking good offensively or defensively for Falmouth in the past couple days.
Swinging at the first pitch is Sems. So it's a hit up the middle, right? Because he would have reached first regardless, but a throwing error home. So another unearned run.
Only 1 earned run so far this game.
Javin Drake now in the same position with a runner on second and 2 outs. Curveball misses in, 1-1. And I think we saw some of that pitcher speed from Ross on that throw because he rifled that home as opposed to delivering an accurate throw.
Yeah,
Harrington had to go diving backwards.
I don't think he had to rush it either.
The 1-1. Misses below the knees.
Seems like everything's falling apart for the Commodores now. They had 2 errors in Game 2 yesterday also. Now 4 errors, and we're barely through half a game. That's 6 errors in the last, 13 innings or so.
Had a couple errors earlier in the year. Put together some solid fielding performances, but not today. Cantrell camps under this shallow fly ball for the 3rd out. Gatemen add another. Their lead is now 3. We head to the bottom of the 5th. You're listening to the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Bottom five, 5-2 your score in favor of the visiting Gatemen, who are trying to stay atop the West Division. They sit at 4-1-1 right now. Coots watches a ball from Coy Cobb. So final line on Tommy Sheehan, 4 in the third innings pitched, gives up 7 hits, 5 runs, but Danny, just 2 of them earned.
Yeah, this is a game. I don't want to say a game because it's not over yet. It's still only 3 runs, but a first half of a game to forget, to just put it behind you if you're a adored fielder and just say never again, not doing that again.
Coots swats one foul. Coming into the day, Falmouth was pretty sure defensively. A team fielding percentage of .970. That was 4th in the Cape League. But as of late, 6 errors in the last 12 innings. That's not a pace you want.
No, absolutely not. And it didn't necessarily cost them the game yesterday. It very well might cost them the game today.
2-1 to Coots is a little high as well. Coy Cobb pitching from the stretch despite nobody on. Here's a hard hit ball into right field, and Coots keeps his hot streak going. He's aboard with nobody out.
Hey, well, nobody can blame you for the errors if you're the designated hitter, especially when you're hitting. How about that for Jackson Coots, his second hit in as many games. He's gotten on base twice now. Doors have been putting guys on the base paths. Now they got to bring them home. They have left 7 guys on base through only 4 innings. That's another stat that you don't want to have.
They left 2 on base in the most recent inning in the 4th. First pitch swinging is Moretto. He's not happy with that one. Spikes the bat. Darren Baker calling off the right fielder behind him. Matt Ruddick, 1 out.
Yeah, Moretto has had a rare, tough game. He was the team leader in RBIs just coming into yesterday, and he was getting a lot of hits. Had 2 hits yesterday as well. He falls to 0 for 3 and has not seen a lot of pitches either. Struck out on 3 pitches his first at bat, and then now on only 2 pitches has been retired 2 more times.
Coots frozen a little bit on that pickoff move, but he gets his right hand to touch the bag in time. Tyler Ross has a chance to make up for those 2 errors in the field. And Cobb's starting to lose a little bit of control. He's been high this inning.
Yeah, that's exactly, if you're a Commodore hitter, that's exactly where you want him to miss, because hopefully one of those will sit about belt high and you can unload.
Now 2-0, perhaps overcompensating is Coy Cobb, as that one spiked in the dirt before it reached the plate. Tyler Ross scored the first run of the game for the Doors in the 2nd inning. At the time, it tied the game 1-1. I don't think Coots is going to steal.
No, and he shouldn't, because it's taken him about a half a second every time that Cobb is picking him off, and he's a righty too.
Right. Ross doesn't have to do much to work this 3-ball count. On deck, Barron Radcliffe. Ross taking all the way, 3-1.
There's another righty warming up in the Wareham bullpen. So this heavy lefty lineup for the Commodores will continue to benefit from these matchups, but it hasn't paid off just yet. Again, only the 2 runs on 5 hits, and they've stranded 7 on the base paths.
It's David Rhodes from Washington getting loose for the Gatemen. 3-1. Outside ball 4, and it's dropped, but doesn't matter. Runners advance. Now men on second and first with 1 out.
Yeah, with less than 2 outs, you got to deliver here. There have been too many opportunities for Falmouth coming up with a lot of guys on base and 2 outs. And you just want to be able to get as many chances as you possibly can before making a mistake. Baron Radcliffe with a big opportunity to try to break out of his funk. He has started the season now 1 for 8. Did get on base with a walk in the second inning his first time up, but he did ground into a double play, a very important one yesterday. I'm sure he's trying to erase that, try to get a hit.
Big cut on the first pitch. Fastball went right by him. So Ross has worked 2 walks now. He stands at first. Jackson Coots, leadoff single. He's at second. Radcliffe quickly behind 0-2. As he timed that fastball well, just a little underneath it.
Yeah, he's got a home run hack every single time he's up at the plate. So he's usually a little bit behind fastballs, and that's why we've seen so many fastballs against him in his 8 at-bats this season.
Sean Harrington on deck. Let's try and high pitch, but Radcliffe lays off. The 1-2 just low. Radcliffe standing at a mighty 6-3.
That was the same pitch that K'd up Langworthy to end the 4th inning, and I think Austin at 5'10", as you mentioned, Radcliffe at 6'3". That's why it was called a strike against Langworthy.
That curveball does not break, and now a full count. Second straight 3-ball count that Cobb has fired.
It's very obvious that Cobb is starting to lose some of his control, and maybe Radcliffe can benefit from it. He can't get too comfortable here because I'd expect a fastball, maybe middle in.
And he works a walk. Second straight walk for Coy Cobb. Doors have kept their strikeout numbers at a minimum tonight, just 3 Ks. And they have worked now 7 walks.
That's very refreshing to see because yesterday against Harwich just seemed like strikeout after strikeout. We saw them strike out 10 times against Logan Allen in game number 1. Continued to strike out a ton in game 2. But like you said today, not a lot of strikeouts and a lot of walks.
Jerry Weinstein, a quick and emphatic pull as he looks and signals to David Rhodes. That'll do it for Coy Cobb. So a couple of the Texas Longhorns running into their struggles on the bump. But Cobb, a better outing than Elder.
Yeah, Cobb much better. He came into the ball game and he started off really, really solid. He came in the second inning, got out of the jam that was the bases loaded with a 1 pitch. That's all he needed, and then he worked a 1-2-3 inning in the 3rd. So he retired the first 5 hitters, or pardon me, even more than that. He retired the first 6 hitters that he faced before letting up a couple of singles. Still got out of the 4th inning unscathed, but then it was the 5th, started giving him trouble. He gave himself the trouble, though, is because he started walking a lot more guys, just like his counterpart did.
Jerry Weinstein, a circuitous route back to the dugout. And I have a feeling that what he said to Jeff Merzell was not favorable.
No, I think he wanted that punch-out pitch on Radcliffe on 2-2. Or
yeah.
1-2.
Merzell was not smiling back at Weinstein, and he didn't look up from his pad and paper. Jerry Weinstein, I'd call him a little frisky. He's definitely got a little pep in his step. I remember against Katuitt last year.
He would sprint out there.
He would have that old man jog. As soon as his foot touched the gravel out of the dugout, he was running to the mound. We saw a little bit of a slower pace today, sort of a manager's walk.
Yeah, he's definitely an energetic dude,
right?
Especially, and you know he's managed everywhere, so he's kind of earned the right to be a little frisky, as you said.
He's the manager of the Hartford Yard Goats, the AA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies out in Connecticut. And I think the coolest part of his bio, working with the national team, Pan American baseball team, and he also coached the Israeli baseball team, was the manager for the Israeli squad in 2017, and that's that 144-game season, which his wife was not a big fan of.
Yeah, he said that his His wife told him, because he was a Yard Goats coach 2 years ago, right?
Right.
His wife told him after that season, if you coach another season that is 144 games long, I won't be happy. And maybe more words than I won't be happy. So he settled for 44 on the Cape.
It's less than 144, I'll tell you that much.
Significant. About 100 less.
About.
If not more, though, if Wareham goes to the playoffs, continues their run,
Sure,
as I'm
sure,
sure
sure.
he's hoping for. But he's earned himself take a little time off, and his wife has earned it, too. She can see him a little bit more.
So David Rhodes, the rising sophomore, settles in and toes the rubber. The third righty that Weinstein has gone to. Had a 4.86 ERA with the Huskies this past year, 87 innings pitched. Harrington fouls off the first pitch. Rhodes from Canada. White Rock, British Columbia. Went to Langley Secondary School and was the 5th-rated recruit coming out of British Columbia by perfect game. Coming out of, I would say high school, but it's something else there, secondary school. Harrington cracks a single. Excuse me, it's going to be fielded and throw on to second base. Holy moly, what a play by Jacob Teeter.
Teeter is apparently just doing everything right today. I mean, he reaches on base with a couple of errors, and then in his third appearance, he gets a single, scores a run as well. Doesn't necessarily get the RBI, but still scores a run. And then over at first base, athletic plays galore. We mentioned it before that with some of the pitches he's had to make to the first baseman, the pitcher covering have been pretty athletic and some great plays. And then that all-out dive on a magnificent scoop, that should have been Harrington's first single into the outfield. Instead, he's absolutely robbed of a hit.
Yeah. Hard hit ball from Harrington. The hardest hit ball we've seen from him this summer. So Loach watches a strike. Lost in the mix on that play. The run did score. Coots tapped home plate, and it's all of a sudden a 2-run ball game. Runners on the corners with 2 down. Ross is at third. Harrington at first. This one launched into right field. With a read on it is Ruddick. Makes the catch in foul territory. Good piece of contact from DeLoach, but he launches it well foul and up in the air. 5-3 your score, heading to the top of the 6th on the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
Baseball Factory, which has proudly supported the Cape League for 20-plus seasons, conducts baseball trainings, tournaments, and showcases at over 1,000 events nationwide, providing players with world-class instruction and help with college recruiting. The Baseball Factory program leads to future success both on and off the field for players in both middle school and high school. It's never too early to start. Learn more at baseballfactory.com.
Back inside the broadcast booth, Katie Florio couldn't stay away. Our sideline reporter and David Korzanowski here joining you inside of the Pat's Loft Eric Palmer press box. Katie, a guy who had a great last inning and a great last couple days is Jackson Coots. You're able to talk to him a little more.
Yeah, and something interesting about Jackson that, fans may not know, his dad actually coached Katuitt from 1995 to 2002. Won 2 championships as their coach, was Cape Cod Coach of the Year one time. And so I was talking to him. He was obviously very young at the time, 2 years old. But I said, do you remember anything about those days? And he said, it's hard, but I do just remember hanging out in the dugout, being around the guys. And so he's obviously loved baseball from a young age. And his dad is now the head softball coach at the University of Maine. And so I asked Jackson, is he able to now get to your games out here on the Cape? And he said he does. It's hard because of recruiting for softball, but sometimes he turns these recruiting trips into also trips to watch his son play.
Wow, quite the story.
Yeah.
And he coached, so why is he on Falmouth then? Do you ask him that?
I don't know. He was on Wareham
right.
for a little while last season, but yeah, definitely cool to, he grew up watching his dad in this league, and now his dad's watching him.
Did you ask him, did he get a ring last summer?
I'm not sure if he got a ring. I know it was a quick stint he was with them.
Right. He was brought on later in the year, and now a temporary player here in Falmouth. Katie, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you, David.
Javin Drake with that pausing crouch behind the mound before he starts his first full inning of work. Falmouth chips away in the bottom of the 5th. They still trail by 2 runs. And we have a switch over at first. Ben Kasparius now in for the Commodores.
I think Jeff Trundy got maybe sick of the errors that were happening over at first base.
And that foul ball got Jeff Merzell right in the mask. Walking this one off. You know that equipment that catchers and umpires wear, it can only do so much when you got a fastball that's being fouled right into your grill.
Nobody's coming out of either dugout to see if he's okay either. Harrington buys him some time to talk things over with Javin Drake, but Merzell takes the mask off. He's still kind of a little rattled from it.
Harrington took the opportunity to go and talk to Drake. Now he and the third base umpire, Rick Emerson, will talk it out. Make sure that he's all right. Because, I mean, it's preventing you from getting, a ball to the face, but all of that momentum is still going. It's like a, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's like a cage hitting you in the face.
Right, cage. There we go.
It's like somebody just threw a metal box at you.
There we go. Metal box. Metal box, cage, whatever. He's all right. Ball one is low to Mike Antico. 7, 8, and 9 due up for the Gatemen here in the 6th. Antico singled both times he's been up. 2 hits on the day for the 7-man. This is a hard hit ball into right. Radcliffe has a read on it, back by that fence. Out number 1.
What an adventurous way to track a ball from Baron Radcliffe. He was kind of high-stepping towards the warning track when he made the catch as he went into the wall. I thought for a second that he wasn't going to be able to catch up to it just the way he was tracking it, but gets to it nonetheless.
So Javin Drake forces a loud out number 1. Antico's been impressive. 5 for 22 coming into the evening as that curveball sits upstairs to Chad Stevens. He had 2 doubles, 2 runs scored. He's the 3-hitter for the Gatemen in the first couple of games, batting 7th tonight and 2 for 3. And it's a good 2 for 3 too, right? Because that one out was a nuke out to right field.
Yeah, the one out that he's gotten against him, as you said, was a hard struck ball, and he's gotten a couple of those real hits. Maybe his first one wasn't as much as an infield single that he just dribbled, but his second one was definitely a harder shot.
He scored the last run of the 4th inning for the Gatemen to put it at a 4-2 game. Wareham added another in the 5th. Falmouth got 1 back, but still trailed by 2. Javin Drake, 2-1 count now to Chad Stevens. Stevens has 1 extra base hit this year. It's a double. Swings and misses. Beautiful pitch from Drake.
Yeah, I love that curveball, I'm going to say, just because of the sharp downward arc that it had. And clearly Stevens had no idea what was coming because he was way out in front of it. Just nearly swung out of his shoes.
Drake from the stretch. Nice block by Harrington, 3-2. Chad Stevens from Fox Island, Washington. Goes to school in Portland, Oregon. Sounded like a broken bat dribbler back to Drake. He gets there in time and throws on to Kasparius. Again, that defensive substitute for Jeff Trundy's squad. 2 down.
Great start to the inning for Javin Drake. What the Falmouth Commodores need right now is simply a quick 1-2-3 inning. They haven't gotten one since the 3rd. 1-2-3 inning, try to get some of the momentum away from Wareham, put their guys back out up to the plate. Hopefully you can string together a couple of hits. Maybe not even take the lead in the bottom half of this inning, but just make sure that Wareham can't get anything going so that they can't. Because it seems like every single time Falmouth tries to claw further in, Wareham pulls away a little bit. Just don't let Wareham pull away.
Doors are keeping it close. Flashing bunt is Braden Ward. Steven Moretto was ready for it at third base. He came charging in on that grass, and Danny, ball hasn't been hit his way today at all.
Unfortunately for him, because he would flag down everything
and
over there.
Unfortunately for us, too. It's been fun watching him at the hot corner. 0-1, foul tipped, but barely. 0-2.
So you know what our web reporter Max Drink was telling me before was that I made a reference to Nolan Arenado in like Game 2 about Steven Moretto, which is kind of high praise, very high praise.
A little bit.
And he said that it's kind of funny because Steven told him that every single time he makes a play over at third, Hayden Cantrell yells out Nolan.
Really?
So apparently me and Cantrell just kind of on the same wavelength. We see it.
Did you talk about that one before? You can be honest with me. It's all right. This is a ball over towards Cruz, and it's going to get past him. Again, Cruz shaded way over towards second base. We've seen a couple leak out of the infield because of his positioning.
Did I talk about what before?
Did you and Cantrell talk about that? Did you coordinate?
No. It just so happened that the day of the Chatham game,
I don't know if I believe you.
I watched a 10-minute long
you were
Nolan
telling me
Arenado highlight video.
Right.
And then we saw Moretto make a couple of those plays. Because like you said, there's about three fantastic plays a third baseman can really make. It's one on the forehand in the hole where he has to make a spin throw. There's the backhand jump throw over near third base. And then there's the barehanded play where you're barehanding it, throwing it on a run on a squib hit or a bunt. And Moretto is able to do a lot of those.
Tag back at first. Almost got there in time. Kasparius almost couldn't find the diving Ward.
Kind of a hesitation tag we saw.
Hasn't been a day of first baseman for the Commodores. Teeter, on the other hand, for the Gatemen, has been outstanding. Maybe their best defensive player. 1-0 to Ruddick.
Seen a lot of players show bunt, not only in this game for Wareham, but also kind of in general. And I don't think one bunt has been successful against the Commodores this season, despite so many guys trying to lay them down. A lot of them have gone foul.
Drake's got a good pickoff move for a righty.
Yeah, for sure.
Got it over to Kasparius in a hurry. The only successful bunt that I can remember, and it was for the Commodores, was Maddox Houghton.
Yeah.
Recently released from the Commodores roster. Drake preoccupied with Ward over at first base. Gatemen just 5 stolen bases on the summer. That's tied for 8th in the league. Ruddick shows bunt, pulls back, 2-0. Ruddick singled in the first inning to start this game off, but he was erased in a 6-4-3 double play and has since been held off the base paths, grounded out to Tommy Sheehan in the third, flew out to Austin Langworthy in the fourth.
Ward's running.
Drake kicks and delivers. Ward is running. Throw down to second base. Harrington gets it there a little late. No problem for Ward.
It was smart that Javin Drake was checking on Braden Ward so much. I mean, Ward was 26 for 31 on stolen base attempts this past year at Washington. 26 stolen bases. That easily led the team. Year before, his 19 stolen bases as a freshman led the Pac-12. He's probably the biggest stolen base threat for Wareham, and boy, was he itching to go. I mean, I saw him jittering over at first base just now.
And he was held off the base paths in his first 2 at-bats, so you got to think that that led to a little more excitement for him as well. Ruddick watches a third ball. Harrington again keeping it in front of him. Saw that throw from Harrington. It's on line. It's just there too late.
Yeah, that's another thing is that they know the scouting report against Harrington. He doesn't have the best arm, so they're going to try to take advantage of that as much as possible.
See if he gets greedy and tries to take third. Moretto doesn't seem too worried about it. Planted back at the middle of the infield. The 3-1. Nice frame from Harrington. Caught the knees, 3-2.
Yeah, good frame from Harrington and a great pitch call on 3-1 as well. You might expect fastball to try to just get me over pitch over the middle of the plate, but with a runner in scoring position, that could really mean bad news. Instead, they go back to the corner and Drake hits it perfectly.
3-2, 2 outs. Ward at second. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Javin Drake gets his second K of the evening. He's worked a nearly flawless inning in 2/3. It's 5-3, heading to the bottom of the 6th inning. You're listening to the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod Healthcare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Middle of the 6th inning here at Gov Fuller Field. Sun's starting to set. David Korzanowski joined alongside Danny LaRose. Danny, after this game got rained out twice, we took a look at the calendars and said, oh boy, buckle up. 12 games in 10 days, and the door's about halfway through.
Yeah, about halfway through, so still not through the thick of it yet. It's gotten off to a rocky start, but hey, you can turn it around at any chance. I'm sure they're hoping tonight. But got a lot of road games coming up. Wednesday at Bourne, Thursday at Hyannis, Friday at Orleans, all the way out there on the eastern end of the Cape. Saturday at this team, Wareham, before they finally come home. So it's going to be a lot of road trips, a lot of bus rides, and we'll see how that affects the team because it's not a long way to go. But still, it might, kind of make you a little on edge.
Johnson out for his first full inning of work, and I've noticed that it's actually kind of when the team starts to come together, right? Because they have those long bus trips, sitting in traffic together, talking to the guys. 0-2 is Cantrell.
They can rate protein bars like Hayden Cantrell has been doing.
You got your playlist ready for the away games?
For the Orleans.
Well, you just drove to.
Yeah.
Where were we just now? Harwich.
Harwich.
Yesterday. Ball one missing inside.
I'll drive to Bourne, maybe not Orleans.
Orleans is the farthest trip any team has to make. Falmouth to Orleans is the longest trip in the Cape League.
Longer than Wareham somehow, who have to cross over the bridge, and they're further west, but
yeah.
It's because they're further to the north, isn't it?
So Falmouth is, if you got the arm of Cape Cod and you're visualizing it, Falmouth is sort of by the armpit, and they're way south. So you get over the bridge, you still have to go south on 28 for a good 20 minutes before you're at Gov Fuller Field. Wareham, on the other hand, right off the highway.
Interesting thing about the Cape League, though, is you mentioned it with Tommy Sheehan's brother before.
3-2, cracked foul.
Is that he plays in the Futures League, and that's also in New England, but his team is on Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
So they go on a road trip. They stay in a hotel for a couple of nights because
Yeah.
they're playing a team in New Hampshire, I think it is, this weekend.
Correct.
And then Massachusetts. And then you look at the Northwoods League out in Wisconsin, and they're going on 3-game series on the weekends because they're going from state to state, Minnesota
8 hours
to Michigan.
sometimes, yeah.
And on the Cape, it's like, oh, we had to go on a 50-minute bus ride.
Right. Single from Hayden Cantrell. It's probably going to be more. He taps the bag and shows no signs of stopping. He's going to try for 3. It's out of play, so I believe that is a ground rule double by the rules. But we'll see where he goes. Hayden Cantrell staying at third for now. And now he'll go back to second base. You know he wanted that triple.
Very smart play by Ruddock. I got to give him credit on that. He listened to Jerry Weinstein pregame. He knew the ground rules. He knows that fence, even though he easily could have played it, it wasn't close to the bleachers where, you might not be able to play it. He saw it trickling just beyond the fence, and instead of flagging it down, threw his hands up right away, said, I know he's going to get third if I pick this up and have to throw it in. Let me just say, hey, you're going to get 2 because, I supposedly can't play it right now. Very intelligent call.
Well, Cantrell has bounced back, Danny.
Oh, yeah.
After a tough day yesterday at Harwich, he now has a double and 2 singles, 3 for 4. Trey Cruz cracks one past Teeter. Being waved around by Brett Becker is Hayden Cantrell. He should score without a throw. It's 5-4 here in the bottom of the 6th.
Just what the Doors needed is those bats to wake up a little bit. Trey Cruz getting the swing of things. 1 and 2 has been a fantastic 1-2 punch, if you will, for Falmouth. Especially after Game 2 yesterday, they were combined 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts, Cantrell and Cruz. Today, they are now a combined, 6 for 9.
6 for 7 by my count.
Oh, pardon me. Yeah, 6 for 7. What? I can't count. 6 for 7. Incredible stuff for those two because you're right. Trey Cruz had the sacrifice fly before.
Trey Cruz with an RBI back in the second inning. And another one here in the 6th. All of a sudden, 1-run ball game. Commodores have hung around. Cruz gets back to first in a hurry. So despite Elder and Cobb issuing some walks, the Commodores scored 3 runs against them. And now they're getting after Rhodes in a hurry here in the 6th. Running is Cruz. Nice throw onto second base. Is the tag in time? Yes, it is. Trey Cruz out at second base, so says the third base umpire, Rick Emerson.
Yeah, he was out by a mile. That was a decent jump, but just a much better throw from behind home plate by Thomas. And Falmouth trying to get a little sneaky, trying to push that game-tying run into scoring position for Austin Langworthy, who's one of the better hitters in the lineup. But that's the tough part of things when you try to steal.
0-2 sits eye level to Austin Langworthy. Langworthy 0 for 2, reached on a walk in the second, struck out his last time up on a call that he did not like. He was frozen at the knees, and he didn't like this one either. Second strikeout for Langworthy. 2 down, and the base is clear.
Yeah, it looked like that curveball was just a little bit high, and it fell about belly button high to Langworthy. He thought it crossed the plate much higher. Instead, he's called out on strikes for a second time in a row by Jeff Merzell. So Langworthy is just going to have to adjust. He's probably going to get one more at bat, just have to adjust to the strike zone.
Coots watches ball 1. He had a single and a run in the 5th. Great hit from our very own Katie Florio, talking to Jackson about his dad, who coached in Katuitt. And again, Coots spent a brief amount of time with Wareham last summer. Seems to be happy to be in Falmouth, though.
Yeah, he's definitely showing it off on the field that he's happy to be in Falmouth. He's looking like he wants to stay with the way he's playing.
Coots walked in the first, flew out to center in the second before that hit in the 5th. Coots may be finding a home at the cleanup spot and DHing. So we've seen a few guys bat fourth, Blake Dunn, Barron Radcliffe, and a few guys designated hit as well, but no one has really sort of asserted themselves there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is that the 4-hole has kind of been a vacuum for Falmouth up until Coots has cemented himself into it. We saw Dunn do a lot better down at 6 or 7. Some guys just kind of perform better at different spots in the lineup, and Coots has been the guy at 4 so far.
2-1 from Coots. Excuse me, the 1-2 makes it even. Nice fight from Johnson here in the 6th inning after the leadoff double and then the hit from Cruz. Got some help from his catcher behind the plate. Here's a can of corn for Darren Baker. And the Commodores go down by way of the throwout from Andy Thomas behind the plate. Strikeout and ground out. We'll be back with a special guest in the 7th inning. Keep it locked on the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
Red Shirt Fridays is a national program created to acknowledge, honor, and support our troops who put themselves in harm's way to defend our freedom. In support of this program, the Cape League teams will be wearing a specially designed red jersey every Friday. Support our troops and join us by wearing red each Friday.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Cape Cod Coca Cola thanks you for supporting the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod Coca Cola has been proudly refreshing the community for 30-plus years, and we're honored to support the CCBL and many other wonderful organizations on the Cape.
We're back in the broadcast booth. Katie Florio did a couple hits earlier. Now we have Sam Strickland, yesterday's starter. Sam, how we doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
We're going to get your mic closer to you, otherwise we won't hear you. So I'm not Danny LaRose. Danny LaRose, David Korzanowski, Sam Strickland. Sam, you started yesterday. Your dad was in town. What was that like to pitch on Father's Day?
It was pretty good, especially for him to travel all the way up here from Alabama. It's a long ways, but I'm glad he could come, even though we didn't get the win, but it was still nice to have him here.
Well, you know what? You pitched pretty well, and how is that like getting back into the stride? You kind of get a brief hiatus after your season ends in May, and then you're off a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden you're in a new state and you're pitching once again for a new team. So what's that break like? Do you kind of get out of I don't want to say shape, but out of the swing of things, and then getting back into it on the mound?
Yeah, you kind of get out of sync when you don't. That was my first time pitching to batters in a month, and so not pitching to batters in that long, it's kind of weird, especially when you get out there and all the batters are just as good or better than the ones you played in the season. But It's a little tough, but eventually, I would say after a start or two, I'll get back in the swing of things.
Caleb Worster is on the mound for the Commodores. Rising redshirt sophomore at UConn, a 2.66 ERA this past year at Stores, and one of like 25 million UConn Huskies who's on the Cape.
Yeah.
So many of them.
There's not a lot of Sanford Bulldogs, though.
Just one more.
Where is it?
He plays at Hyannis. Brooks
Hyannis.
Carlson.
Brooks Carlson. Did you talk to him after the game? Were you here then?
I came up Saturday, the day before we played.
Okay. 0-2 is the count from Worster. He misses outside to Darren Baker.
So I guess you wouldn't be the perfect guy to ask because this is your first year on the Cape, but it's going to be interesting. We play Hyannis 5 more times, whether there's going to be maybe a rivalry that develops between you two, a friendly rivalry. You see that coming?
Yeah, there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between
Swinging
me
to
and
the
him
strike three.
because we played each other in high school too. One time in the second round going to state, and they beat us.
Now batting, the catcher.
That's something I noticed in Miami is on the Miami Hurricanes baseball team. It's a ton of guys from South Florida, so they'll jar each other. They'll jaw with each other about how they performed in high school, and they'll say, "Oh, well, my team beat your team. I struck you out twice in the state championship game or something like that."
How'd you do against Carlson?
I think he might have got one hit,
how
and
much?
I think it was the hit that scored the 1 run of the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we lost 1-0.
How'd you feel yesterday?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I was a little sore in the back from traveling because I had a 14-hour travel day.
Dang.
Across a couple planes, but
Walk me through it. What airports and layovers and all that?
I had to get up at 4 to drive to the Birmingham airport to catch a plane at 6:30. Flew to Chicago, sat in that airport for 3 hours.
Which one, Midway or O'Hare?
Midway.
Okay.
And then we flew to Boston, and then had to sit in traffic for an hour trying to get out of Boston.
Hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Worster hits Andy Thomas on the back. He scored the most recent run for the Gatemen in the 5th inning.
Now batting, the designated
And did your dad do that same travel with you? Did he come up?
Yeah, he
So
came
you
with
went
me.
together. Okay.
It's so weird how some of those layovers work. How you got to go to Chicago in order to get to Boston. Seems pretty far away.
Yeah.
Worster now pitching from the stretch to Adrian Del Castillo. The Miami Hurricane is 0 for 3 today.
So how about some of the guys on the Commodores? You ever faced them in your collegiate
Uh,
years?
I don't think so. Most of them are from way away from where anybody we play. But great group of guys so far.
Yeah, how's the staff?
They're pretty wild. It's a little different.
What does that mean?
A little different coming from Sanford.
Okay.
Because Sanford's a little enclosed, but these guys have done a lot, seen a lot.
Funny stories?
Not yet, but
yet.
hopefully in the next
They're
couple
coming out
weeks.
soon, yeah. You got any for us?
Not from Sanford, no.
Okay. 0-2, swung on and missed. Del Castillo goes down by way of the K for the second straight AB. 2 down with Jacob Teeter coming up.
From Florida Southern College, number 22.
So how do you like Massachusetts so far, and how do you like Cape Cod in your couple days?
So far, it's beautiful. It's a really nice place. It's a little different. When my dad said you had to pack a jacket, I said, "What?" It's June.
We have a couple of our interns are from down south. Haley Blitch, who does social media and graphics, she's from Tallahassee. Katie Florio, sideline reporter from South Carolina, they were saying the same thing. So is it cold tonight?
Yeah, this is pretty cold
See-
compared. Down in Birmingham, it's probably still 85 or 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're still wearing, you got no long sleeves on or anything. You're good.
I have a jacket over
Oh, you
there.
do? Okay.
Yeah, I was wearing it earlier, but I got a little hot walking around.
Is that all pseudoscience? You know how pitchers they go in from, you see in the major leagues, they go off the mound.
0-1 into left field. It'll land for a base hit. Runners on first and second.
They go off the mound and they go right back into their jacket to quote unquote keep the arms warm.
Well, I guess it kind of depends on the weather. If it's really cold, then yeah, it helps a lot. But down south, if it's 95 degrees, you don't really need it.
Right, but so in that same vein, keeping a jacket on to keep the arm warm. That sounds just so literal. But what does that actually do for a pitcher? What is that all about?
Well, it also depends on how long you're sitting in the dugout. If you have a long inning and it's 30 or 40 degrees or even 50, your arm will get cold and you'll have to loosen up a little more.
So it's just a matter of the muscles getting tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I always thought that pitchers were just kind of being, like, oh, woe is me. It's cold out.
Ball 1 misses outside. So you were throwing to Sean yesterday. What was it like to have him behind the plate, and have you worked with Michael at all?
No, that was my first time pitching up here and his first time catching me. So it was a little strange because when we were out warming up, he was like, "Well, you got to tell me what pitches you throw and like what signs to call and all that, and like what I like to do." So it's a little different throwing to a guy for the first time. And I feel bad for him too because
second hit batter
in the first game, the reliever that came in, he had to meet with him out on the field to know what pitches he threw and everything.
Oh, it was like really their first time.
Yeah, it was their first time meeting, and it was
So
in the
who
game.
came in relief of you yesterday? I'm blanking.
Robbie, I think.
Alstrom, yeah.
Alstrom, yeah.
Said, "Hi, I'm Robbie. Hi, I'm Sean."
Yeah.
What do you throw?
So another hit batter by Worcester. It's been a little inaccurate with that inside pitch to lefties. Andy Thomas is now at third. Jacob Teeter at second, and Mike Antico at first. So the bases are juiced for the Gatemen trying to add to their lead.
Something Franco Alemán told us when he was up in the booth with us is we asked him about the competition on the Cape. Is it a little bit intimidating going up against guys?
One hopper to Cantrell, on to Cruz, so no run score, but we'll let you finish the question.
Is it a little intimidating going up against guys and playing with guys who may be going to places like UNC, Oregon State, I mean Florida State, like Miami even, out on the field right now?
I mean, to an extent, yeah, but really no, because, I mean, you're up here for a reason. It's because you're good and everybody else is going to be good, but also we have a little bit of an advantage now because they're using wood bats and they're not used to it. So, I mean, it's pretty normal.
Okay. So nothing changes, even though the guy up there might have faced.
Yeah. Yeah, you might get a guy from the World Series or something, but you're just like, dang, like this guy's really good. But
now I got to be even better.
Yeah, now I got to be better.
There you go.
Thanks a lot, Sam. We'll step aside quickly. Doors are within striking distance. They trail 1 to the Wareham Gatemen. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Sam, thanks. Thank you.
The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Bottom 7. Worcester gets out of a jam with the one hopper to Hayden Cantrell, and the bases loaded in the top half of the frame. Sort of got lost in the mix when we were talking to Sam, but Worcester looked pretty good except for those 2 pitches that missed and hit those batters.
Yeah, just kind of missed the strike zone a little bit, but otherwise he was throwing a lot to contact and getting outs, so you can't complain about that.
Steven Moretto lofts one into no man's land in shallow center, but a nice basket catch over the shoulder by Bryce Sems.
I think another thing we should comment about Worcester is that he may have had an advantage. He knows this Wareham team. He was playing with them just about a week ago.
True.
He was originally on their roster. He was cut around June 13th or 14th or so, and he was signed the same exact day by Falmouth. So there's a couple of his former teammates just a couple days ago on that side. He might have some inside knowledge.
Ben Kasparius gets his first AB of the night. Coming in for Tyler Ross, who was 0 for 1 with 2 walks and a run scored, but most notably those 2 errors in the field. Commodores 4 errors, all of them coming in the first 5 innings. This one lifted into center field again, but easily playable for Ward, 2 down.
This isn't good for the Doors. You want to start to be able to put more guys on base. You're only down 1. You got some momentum in the 5th, scoring a run, in the 6th, scoring a run. And then to kind of go down without a fight in the 7th pulls away from that. Time's running out for the Falmouth Commodores to try to claw their way back, and a lot of pressure has been on the pitching staff to keep it at just 1 run.
4.41 team ERA for the Doors heading into tonight. Radcliffe cracks one up the middle past Darren Baker, his first hit of the evening.
Barron's now got 2 hits on the season. He's also reached base now 3 times because he walked a couple times. So Barron Radcliffe starting to see the ball a lot better, I think. Before, about yesterday, the day before, he was swinging through a lot of fastballs, not catching up to them. Now he's seeing pitches better. He's reacting better, and that one he tattooed. He was right on it, just kind of spiked it right into the dirt, but was still able to find a hole.
Sean Harrington reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th, but he was really robbed of a single. An outstanding play by Teeter at first base.
Yeah, Sean should have 2 hits now. His 1 hit on the Cape was an infield single. He should have 2 and probably should have. Was there a runner on second when that happened? Because it could have brought home 2 runs instead of just the 1.
I believe it was.
Yeah, Ross was on second.
Yes. Ross moved over to third where he then stayed. This gets past Thomas, so Radcliffe trots over to second base. Now a runner in scoring position for the catcher.
So I think we kind of, Teeter had double whammy on that one. Not only did he rob Harrington of a hit, not only did he get the out at second, but he probably prevented 2 runs from coming home, which would have caused the game to be tied. So have yourself a day over at first, Teeter.
Harrington wagging that bat back and forth. Thomas from the stretch looks back to Radcliffe and delivers. Low. I thought it was really interesting what Sam was saying about Sean and getting to know those pitchers.
I feel like I've heard that before, maybe last season. It's just kind of what you got to do.
One of the quirks of summer baseball. Hitters count now for the Babson Beaver. Because I did notice Strickland was shaking off Sean a little bit yesterday too, especially earlier in the game.
Sean flashes slider, and Sam goes, "I don't have a slider."
3-1. Ball upstairs. Harrington works a walk. Runners on first and second with 2 outs.
Well, this is great for Falmouth. Everybody seems to be getting on base. I mean, so many walks in this game. I have to count up the total. I'd have to count up the total on walks, but, I mean, everybody's getting on base seemingly. Now Harrington is on base 3 times, one of them for a fielder's choice, 2 of them for walks. Just a matter of putting them home. Again, they've left a lot of guys on base. Just got to get that one big hit.
Jeff Trundy goes to a pinch hitter in Austin Maisel. Maisel didn't play in either game of the doubleheader. Kind of surprising to me, as Trundy usually likes to switch guys out, especially when they're playing back-to-back games. But Maisel has had a great start to his summer. His teammates from Holy Cross cut in Alex Volpe and Chris Rinaldi, but Maisel sticking around. Takes strike 1 at the knees.
And he's earned it. 4 for 10 coming into today, so not a lot of chances, but he's getting a lot of hard-struck balls, and he's one of the few guys who's not getting those cheap infield hits.
Strike 2 at the knee is a long lean back and a quick look down to Ryan Eiley. Jeff Merzel calling the balls and strikes behind the plate. Oh, 2 to Maisel, cracked into those far bleachers, out of play, but he took that thing for a ride, just needs to straighten it out.
Yeah, it looked like he was maybe a little bit off speed from Rhodes. Could have been a fastball. I didn't see too much movement on it, but nonetheless, he left it about belt high, and Austin was all over it. That is never a location you want to hit on 0-2. I think he was trying to go upstairs with it and just kind of hit the strike zone too much, and Maisel nearly made him pay.
The 0-2. High for a ball, 1-2 the count.
That's the location he was just looking for.
Harrington at first, Radcliffe at second. Radcliffe is the tying run, Harrington the leading run. Doors in a close one against the Gatemen. That ball hits his foot, and the bases are now loaded. Spike getting down 0-2. Johnson plunks Maisel to have a great opportunity for Cantrell, who is having quite the night.
Yeah, Hayden Cantrell has had a bounce-back night of all. He's 3 for 4, had a double and a run scored his last time up, looking to make it a clean 4 for 5 and perhaps give Falmouth their first lead of the ball game.
So there'll be a conference out on the mound. We'll see if Weinstein goes to the bullpen. There is a righty warming. Weinstein's been pounding the righty pitchers today. Johnson, the third one, who has towed the rubber for the Gatemen.
Also interesting of note for Falmouth offensively, they've been getting so many guys on base, like I said, but when they have guys on base, haven't been hitting all that much. They've been walking a lot with guys on base. A lot of fielders' choices, too. Of these 4 runs that they've scored, only one of them has been an RBI hit. Otherwise, a couple of fielders' choices have brought the runs home, and then a sacrifice fly. So Falmouth still kind of searching for RBI hits, as opposed to just getting solid chances and solid wood on the ball, but not quite getting, that hit into the outfield that'll bring home not just 1 but 2 or 3.
Well, Hayden Cantrell's double his last time up was in the 6th inning. It was just the 6th extra base hit of the summer for the Doors. Ball 1 downstairs. An important AB for the leadoff man. Commodores could take the lead and then some. And the first 2 batters this half inning flew out. Here's a high, deep drive into right field. If this ball stays fair, it's gone. And it is a grand slam for Hayden Cantrell. The Doors go up 3. It's 8-5.
There we go. There's the RBI hit that we've been waiting for all along. Trey Cruz had the first one last inning, and now Hayden Cantrell. Who would have thought that it'd be Hayden Cantrell to be the Falmouth Commodores' leader in home runs early in the season? He's now got 2, and both of them to deep right field. Both of them no doubters off the bat. Grand slam for Hayden Cantrell. Have yourself a day. He's now 4 for 5.
And a triple away from the cycle.
Yeah, don't.
And he almost had a triple. He almost had a triple on that hard hit ball in the 6th inning. So how about that? The bases are clear, and the Doors have their first lead of the game.
I thought Hayden was going to be taking a ton of pitches.
This one into shallow left field, and it's a base hit for Trey Cruz. Hitters 1 and 2, now a combined 8 for 9. You kidding me?
And 6 RBIs as well.
It's ridiculous.
Trey Cruz and Hayden Cantrell have become the dynamic duo up the middle defensively, and they become the dynamic duo at the top of the lineup. That'll be the end of the road for Rhodes, and necessarily, too. I was going to mention that Hayden Cantrell, I was expecting him to take a lot of pitches because we just saw a walk and then a hit by pitch that Rhodes had delivered. Throws ball 1 to Cantrell, and he's a guy who loves to walk. Like you said, last season, he led the team in walks. So you would think that he might be starting to try to get a lot more patient. Nope. He sees a ball that he likes, middle in, belts it over the wall. All's well that ends well for the Commodores.
And I like some of the mind games that go on between pitchers and hitters, right? Because he's probably, the pitcher, Rhodes, is probably thinking the same exact thing you are.
Right.
He says he's probably going to try to work a big at-bat here. They're down 1. They need a run here. Fastball down the middle, boom, see you later. And Cantrell was ready for it. I mean,
absolutely.
He was pulled that ball down the right field line. Thought it might have been tailing foul for a split second, but stayed inside of that right field fence, and that was a no-doubter.
And it's just become obvious that, well, first of all, Hayden's got power, and we mentioned that. He had 4 home runs in his freshman year at Louisiana Lafayette, 9 home runs his sophomore year. Didn't have any last summer, now has 2 already in just the, you could still call it the first week. We're 7 days now into the season. But Cantrell's approach at the plate is brand new because he's swinging so early and so often. And like I said, his first time up, he's just not really a prototypical leadoff hitter anymore. There have been very few 3-ball counts that he's found himself in. The 6th inning, he found himself 3-2. Otherwise, he's been jumping on the first pitch, second pitch, third pitch of the ABs every single time.
So Cantrell, 2 singles, a double, a home run. 2 runs scored and 4 RBIs. What a day for the leadoff man. And Danny, talk about how he bounced back. I mean, he had a day to forget yesterday. So did Cruz, but those 2 guys were not going to let it become 2 days. They came out firing.
I mean, listen, these guys could not put bat to ball through their first half of their at-bats. Both of them, first 2 at-bats for Cantrell yesterday, swinging strikeouts. First 3 at-bats for Cruz in game number 2, swinging strikeouts. And then they come back, and none of them have struck out. They've racked up all these hits. They've racked up all these RPIs. It's been one fell swoop for the top of the lineup, and now it's just got to trickle down. Now it's got to be Austin Langworthy who's next, who says, hey, I can hit the ball just like them. Then it's got to be Tyler Ross. Steven Moretto's got to get back into the swing of things. It's just kind of got to balloon for Falmouth and start trickling down.
So with a 3-run lead and now 10 hits for the Commodores, Blake Dunn will step in for Austin Langworthy at the 3 spot. New pitcher for Wareham is Trey Dillard, a rising junior who goes to Missouri. Again, the 4th righty that Jerry Weinstein has gone to at a 6.92 ERA. Not a lot of innings of work, though. 1-2 record with a 7 walks and 19 strikeouts. Ball 1 is low to done.
Yeah, surprised there haven't been any lefties coming on.
Ball 2 outside.
Think Dunn's a defensive replacement for Langworthy right now?
Yeah. Yeah, he can play left. He's played mainly center. Also, maybe you could see Dunn go out to center, Maisel out to left, because Maisel came in for Deloach.
Also with a 3-run lead for Falmouth. They haven't been working with a lead really at all recently. It hasn't really been since against Hyannis, I think, 1-0 early on.
I believe that's correct, yeah, because I don't think they were leading at all against Bourne and then shut down against Harwich in that doubleheader.
But the way the pitching staff has been, I mean, a 3-run lead should be a good enough cushion with a couple innings remaining. Just kind of got to shut things down defensively.
Blake Dunn, the righty from Western Michigan, taps one up towards short. And Sems will tap second base. The Doors add 4 thanks to a Hayden Cantrell grand salami. It's his 2nd home run of the year and the 2nd for the team. It's their biggest one of the year as well as they move up 3 on Wareham. We'll be back for the 8th after the break.
Cape Cod Coca Cola thanks you for supporting the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod Coca Cola has been proudly refreshing the community for 30-plus years, and we're honored to support the CCBL and many other wonderful organizations on the Cape.
The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams.
What's donated here stays here. All blood that is donated to Cape Cod HealthCare stays on Cape Cod to help the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Learn more about donating blood, platelets, or hosting a blood drive at capecodhealth.org/blood center.
Top 8, Doors have the lead. Danny LaRose to my right. David Korzanowski joining you from Gov Fuller Field. It's been a fun game, Danny.
Yeah, this has been a really entertaining game. It's kind of been not quite back and forth, but it would be Wareham getting a lead and Falmouth trying to claw back, getting within 1, getting within 2. Wareham pulling ahead again, Falmouth clawing back, and finally Falmouth taking the lead, and I'm sure they're hoping for good with a Hayden Cantrell grand slam.
Chad Stevens, Braden Ward, Matt Ruddick due up here in the 8th. That's 8, 9, and 1. Stevens grounded out to the pitcher his last time out.
Got some defensive changes.
We do indeed. Blake Dunn in center, Maisel in left. This one over towards Kasparius. He fields it on 2 hops and taps the bag. 1 down.
Do you think this is kind of a happy irony is the word, or just kind of like a nice day for Caleb Verster after getting cut by the Wareham team a couple days ago, coming back, and he's got a chance to be the winning pitcher against Wareham on the other side of things with Falmouth in Falmouth's first game against Wareham. So, I mean, I'm sure there's not too much animosity. He's a temporary player.
That's
he knows it's coming. But it's just probably a nice feeling for him.
Braden Ward now up with 1 out as Worster delivers a first pitch strike. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Danny, is probably wasn't like fuming that he got cut by Wareham, right, as a temporary player. But I'm sure maybe a joke to Weinstein on the way out or something like that. Hard hit ball down the third base line. And I'm sure, Weinstein obviously wants to win this game, but must be good for him to see, this guy having success on the Cape.
Yeah, well, that's the very question of it is he's got to be successful right now. There's still a lot of innings to be played. So as long as he pitches well, then he can have that, kind of hanging over Weinstein's head, if you will.
The 0-2 to Ward. buckled the knees of Ward and appeal down to third. Definitely didn't go around 1 and 2. So playing for bragging rights against Jerry Weinstein and his former squad is Caleb Worster.
Courtesy of Hayden Cantrell, who's been far and away one of the best players for the Doors this season.
4 hits tonight for the shortstop. Strike 3, got him looking. Ward knew it. It was a pretty slider that caught the inside black.
Yeah, that was money. That looked like it was going to hit Ward for a while. I think he kind of bent his hips backwards, expecting it to plunk him on the front leg. All of a sudden, breaks onto the inside corner, and he knew it. Like you said, that's just 10 times out of 10. That's going to be a K.
Ruddick has grounded out, struck out, and flown out. Singled all the way back in the top of the first. Down goes one of the Wareham relievers as that foul ball was scorched into the bullpen.
He did a full 360.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And as he went to land, hit his heels and fell backwards.
I wish I knew who that was. I wish they had the sweatshirts off.
They're having a little powwow over there. That's kind of wake-up call to pay attention.
0-1 to Worster. Breaks across the plate for a strike. Javin Drake came in relief of Tommy Sheehan. Pitched the end of the 5th and the 6th. 1 2/3, 2 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, continuing to impress in middle relief. That one lifted foul.
Is he going to be this year's Ian Cook? 2 Western Illinois guys, and Ian
Could be.
Cook always came in the toughest spots, and he shoved with a sub-1 ERA. Javin Drake is well on his way through 2 appearances this season.
Must be something in the water. Is it the Fighting Leathernecks? Is that it?
Something like that.
I think that's their mascot. Here's a ball over to Hayden Cantrell, but it hangs up, and he makes the catch. Everything coming up Cantrell, everything coming up Doors. Commodores hope this is their last time at the plate, heading into the bottom of the 8th with an 8-5 lead.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu.
Cape Cod Coca Cola thanks you for supporting the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod Coca Cola has been proudly refreshing the community for 30 plus years, and we're honored to support the CCBL and many other wonderful organizations on the Cape.
Baseball Factory, which has proudly supported the Cape League for 20 plus seasons, conducts baseball trainings, tournaments, and showcases at over 1,000 events nationwide, providing players with world-class instruction and help with college recruiting. The Baseball Factory program leads to future success both on and off the field for players in both middle school and high school. It's never too early to start. Learn more at baseballfactory.com.
For the Gatemen. Dillard came in and got the call last inning. Following that home run off of the bat of Hayden Cantrell. Rhodes went 2 1/3, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, a walk, and a strikeout.
Tough.
Coots takes a strike. It's now 2-1. Pretty Cape Cod sky that you can catch a glimpse of here on our YouTube live stream. But I don't think the camera really picks up the colors as well.
No.
It's a beautiful periwinkle.
It's my word.
A little bit cotton candy. clouds out in left. A nice azure sky here
You're just making stuff up now.
on Monday night. 3-2 the count to Jackson Coots. That one cracked over towards Falmouth bullpen. Sean Harrington catching a bullpen right now.
It never stops for him.
Literally never stops.
He caught both games in the doubleheader yesterday, and catches tonight. Now catching a bullpen.
He's going to need to ice those knees, man.
Yeah.
Holy moly. He does not wear knee savers. He gets down and dirty. This one hangs up for Antico. Loses his hat. Did he catch it?
I think it's out of play anyway.
Yeah, out of play in the trees. So if he makes a catch on the hill there?
No, it's out of play.
Really?
Yes, that's the ground rules.
Interesting.
Because typically fans sit up there, so it's kind of like if there were seats.
Gotcha.
Also about Harrington, the way he squats when he's at the plate,
Yeah.
when he's hitting, his knees just take a beating,
crazy.
no matter what.
3-2 to Coots. He tried to hold up, but he did go around. Drop third strike is thrown on to first. And he is retired by way of the K for the first time tonight. Brings up Steven Moretto.
Again, not too many strikeouts against Falmouth in this ball game after they had a lot of strikeout trouble in the last couple days. Only 5 strikeouts now through 7 1/3 innings pitched, and this is what, the 4th time through the batting order for a lot of these guys? Yeah, 5th time. So credit the Doors with really bouncing back.
Over towards Darren Baker. Fields it on his forehand and throws over to Teeter. I was watching Darren Baker before take when the Gatemen were taking infield, outfield. Looked a little shaky, won't lie. Booted a couple balls, but he has been solid today at second base. If anyone's having fielding difficulties, it's the Commodores with 4 errors.
Yeah, no errors to show for Wareham. They're still trailing by 3, though, so it's been mistakes on both sides that have helped out. I mean, you could say that Falmouth with 4 errors, they should be losing, but you look at Wareham and how many guys they have walked. I mean, their starting pitcher, Elder, in only an inning and 2/3, walked 5 hitters. They've walked 8 on the day.
Couple quick strikes to Ben Kasparius, who flew out with a loud fly ball to center field in the 7th inning. Moretto and Kasparius started off that 7th inning with 2 flyouts. All of those runs for the Doors coming with 2 down, and it was right after you said they needed to get base runners.
Well, they got them.
They got them, and they scored, and it was helpful.
Yeah,
Gave them runs.
something that works out in baseball.
1-2 just misses outside.
But that's something that I've been harping on, is that when they get base runners on, it always seems like it's with 2 outs and then,
right.
1 ground
too
out.
late. Yeah,
and
exactly,
it's
right,
too late,
right,
too
right.
little, too late. This time around, the base runners came with 2 outs, and it wasn't too little, too late. They put it together.
One swing of the bat from Hayden Cantrell changed the course of this game. Kasparius goes down, looking at strike 3. The Doors 3 outs away from win number 3. We'll be back on the Falmouth Commodores Baseball Network.
Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonials and their championship teams. It's all online at www.curry.edu. The Colossal Lobster Rolls are back at the 99 restaurants. Visit today in Centerville, Falmouth, Mashpee, Wareham, or Yarmouth for the best value for lobster rolls on the Cape. The 99, proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Big spot for Bryce Miller, who's going to come in as the closer here in the top of the 9th. Rising junior at Texas A&M. He's a righty who stands at 6'3", trying to get his first save in his first appearance wearing the white and maroon.
Yeah, big moment for Bryce Miller, who wears some maroon down in College Station. He played his first 2 years at Blinn College. That's a junior college in Texas. He was a National Junior College Athletic Association All-Texas team with Blinn. In his sophomore year over at Blinn, 4-1 record, 2.51 ERA, posting average of 193, 43 Ks in 28 2/3 innings pitched. So that was really his best year in college so far, JUCO, and at Texas A&M, trying to recreate some of that here on the Cape.
38th round pick out of high school, drafted by the Marlins. His best appearance this year was against Kentucky. Had 7 Ks on March 24th. Last summer, he was in the Texas Collegiate League. If you just add a state or a region, they have a collegiate summer league.
I've actually never heard of it.
I haven't either. He's from the Lone Star State as well. A lot of Texas guys playing on the Cape. He's from New Braunfels, Texas. Miller, the righty from the windup, delivers to Harrington. Ball 1 low. Baker, Thomas, De Castillo due up. Baker 0 for 4. Thomas 1 for 2. Castillo 0 for 4 as well. 1-1 now to Darren Baker, the second baseman from Cal. He's had a pretty good start to the summer, batting above 300, even with the 0 for 4 performance today. Miller stays low and misses in that direction, 2-1. Righty-lefty matchup. Harrington tried to sell the frame, but Jeff Merzell was not fooled. Commodores trying to get off the schneid. They were 2-0. Tied against Hyannis and then lost 3 straight. The 3-1 back up the middle. It's off the glove of Miller, which allows it to be fielded by Cruz. A nice play by the infield, 1 down.
Your natural 1-4-3 putout for the first out of the inning, but hey, credit Miller being all over it, being able to knock down the baseball so that Cruz could have a much easier play, or else that would have been a sure hit up the middle.
Yeah, sort of slowed it down. And sometimes you see if they stick out the glove, they can slow it down too much.
Yeah.
Because the second baseman or shortstop might have a read on the ball. All of a sudden they have to change direction and get to the ball quickly. Sometimes rushed throws. Ball 1 outside to Thomas. Thomas hits one over towards the Wareham first base coach, 1-1.
David, we haven't taken a trip around the Cape yet.
Oh, take me around.
I'm going to drive you around. First, we're going to Hyannis, a little out east. They're playing Brewster for the 3rd game in a row.
Wow.
They got swept out of a doubleheader against Brewster yesterday. Now they're at McKeon Park. Brewster leading 3-0 in the bottom of the 9th. Hyannis still looking for elusive win number 1.
Yikes.
Meanwhile, the only other game besides this one and the Brewster one, so 3 games on the Cape tonight. Bottom of the 8th in Harwich. Bourne is leading the Harwich Mariners 5-1. This, of course, was originally scheduled as an off day, but these 3 games had to be made up a couple of times, so that's why there are only 3 games going on.
The 1-2 to Thomas, back towards us. So Orleans, Chatham, YD, and who am I missing? Katuitt. Get the night off.
Yep.
If they're watching, I say hello. Doors are here. 1-2 for Miller. Can't be squeezed by Harrington. Might have cost a strike 3 call as well. It was outside, though, 2-2.
Yeah, it looked like he was getting ready to frame it. Just kind of moved the glove a little too early. What is going wrong in Hyannis right now?
Yeah, that's tough.
They can't even get the bats going, getting shut out against Brewster. That's going to be 3 straight to Brewster that they drop.
Yeah, they would move to 0-6-1 with a loss today. That 1 tie, so they're 1 point coming against Falmouth.
Yeah, in a 9-9 ball game. I mean, we know that Hyannis' bats are usually pretty good. Their bats were pretty bad to start the season. They came alive, just as did Bourne's against Falmouth. So a couple teams starting to get into the swing of things and then quickly falling off yet again. So Falmouth, despite a 3-game losing streak, still well in an early playoff picture.
3-2 lifted into left field. No chance for Maisel. It takes a high hop, but he gathers, and a single from Thomas.
don't want to get too comfortable with a 3-run lead because you've got a runner on base and you've got the cleanup hitter Del Castillo coming to the plate. He is 0 for 4, but he's just waiting to break out of his shell on the Cape. He had a 330-plus batting average and 70-plus RBIs with the Canes in the springtime, so you know he's ready to get going. And then after him, you've got the guys who just won't stop getting on base. Teeter, who's gotten on base 4 times. Sems, who's gotten on base twice. So you got to be careful, or else the tying run might come up pretty soon.
Del Castillo has been one of the cooler spots for the Wareham Gatemen tonight. Grounded out to short twice and struck out twice. He watches strike number 1 paint the outside black. On deck, Jacob Teeter, as you said, and then Benjamin Sems, unless Weinstein does a pinch hitter. Miller pitching from the stretch. Kicks and delivers low.
Del Castillo is so dangerous. He had 72 RBIs as a freshman at Miami. That is the most RBIs for a Hurricanes freshman, since Zach Collins with 59 in 2016. Zach Collins with the Chicago White Sox just called up a couple days ago.
Miami has a lot of young talent.
Yeah, they had the youngest roster of any NCAA tournament team. No seniors and only 2 juniors, I believe.
The 1-2 from Miller. Thought about swinging, but he lays off. Smartly so. 2-2 because J.P. Gates, also on this Wareham roster, a rising sophomore. Just for those of you watching at home, most of the people on the Cape League rosters are rising juniors, about 75% of every team. Some rising seniors and some exceptional sophomores. Just for some perspective, Wareham has 16 rising juniors, 6 rising seniors, 7 rising sophomores. Falmouth, almost 20, with 19 heading into their junior season. And the reason is, of course, because they're draft eligible after 3 years in college.
Yeah, so there are some scouts sitting right below us, and they're watching, and I know these guys want to put together a good summer and then a good junior year, and then they could be a first-round draft pick in about 11 months from now.
The 2-2 lifted into center field. Dunn has a read on it. He's there, out number 2.
Great pitch to swing at by Del Castillo. He had a nice, smooth, quick stroke like he always does on that bell-tie fastball on the outside corner. Gets under it, luckily for Miller. Doesn't have enough power to put too much under it. And that's a can of corn on a pitch that could have been a mistake to somebody with a little bit more power.
So the cleanup man goes 0 for 5, and now it's down to Jacob Teeter, who's found his way to first, if not further. Every single time he's been up, reached on an error twice, singled twice. Strike 1. It's not often you go 2 for 4 and reach base 4 times.
Yeah, that's pretty rare. He'll take it.
Miller's starting to find the strike zone after a couple 3-ball counts to Baker and Thomas. 1 out away from win number 3. It would move the Commodores back to an even 500. Taking second is Andy Thomas. No throw from Harrington.
Yeah, nobody even covering the bag.
Miller looks in. Teeter taps the plate. Righty-lefty matchup. Infield playing back by the grass. Trying to keep everything in front of them and end this game. Foul ball. 2 strikes.
We'll see if Teeter still has the magic in him. I mean, he's been flashing the leather at first base. He's been getting on base, like we've mentioned, so prolifically, whether he deserves it or not. See if the luck has run dry in the 9th, because he's only got really 1 more shot.
Fourth pitcher out there for the Doors is Miller. Tried to hold up. Strike 3, went around Harrington, throws to Kasperius, and sails it over his head. Backing up was Trey Cruz, a heads-up play by the second baseman to prevent a run from scoring.
He's now reached base 5 times,
I don't know
3 of them on errors.
What the heck is happening
What
with this?
deal did he make?
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is insane. And Sean Harrington, who's such a sure backstop, again, we say that his arm is his one, kind of caveat, and it burns him again. That time he had plenty of power behind it, but just airmails it right over Kasperius, who's at 6'1", 6'2", not tall enough to reel it in. And now the tying run is at home plate in Benjamin Sems.
5 errors for the Commodores. That's about enough errors for a week, never mind one game.
Yeah.
So the tying run is at the plate, folks. This game is not over yet. And if any of these runs score again, they would be unearned.
Oh, boy. And the pitching staff's not going to be happy with the fielders.
They hope to get a win so that the errors don't matter and they can just move forward. Ball missing outside. Benjamin Sems at the plate. Singled and scored in the 4th. Hit by a pitch in the 7th. Sems standing very upright. Another righty-lefty matchup. Harrington squatting behind the plate. Sems behind that fastball. 2-1.
I like that from Miller. He throws 2 balls and he decides, you know what? Let me just challenge him with a fastball down and away. If you best me, you best me. It'd be a real tough hit to get. 2-0. You might not be expecting it placed right there, and he kind of blew it by him so that he was just barely able to make contact.
Thomas on third. Teeter on first. Again behind it. 2-2. The Gatemen 4-1-1 atop the West Division. Commodores trying to add 2 points to their total. Win on the Cape is 2 points. A tie is 1. 2-2, 2 outs, 2 men on in the top of the 9th. Beautiful off speed, bottomed out, but Sems didn't bite. Full count.
That was a fantastic pitch, and after throwing back-to-back fastballs to try to set up that 2-2 pitch and get the breaking ball over, I really thought Sems would go and chase. Got to credit him with having a great eye.
It's dusk here at Gov Fuller Field. The Commodores want to finish this thing out. 3-2, 2 outs, runner goes, ball 4. Harrington can't squeeze it. Bases are loaded, and now the leading run is at the plate.
Oh boy, this is just
dicey.
This inning should have been over a while ago. Not good stuff for Bryce Miller to have to deal with, and 5 errors. I mean, Falmouth in any other day without that one swing of the bat from Cantrell, without the 8 walks allowed by Wareham pitching, any other day, 5 errors will lose you the game.
No doubt about it, Danny. Bryce Miller still looking for that save, but it is dicey here, folks, as Thomas is at third, Teeter now at second, Sems at first. Ball lifted foul. Dugouts coming alive right now, bullpens as well, especially the Wareham pitchers, all standing and watching intently.
Falmouth pitchers in the bullpen all standing and watching intently, too. It's kind of a standoff right now between the 2 of them.
Yeah, I hope we're getting some of this on social media.
One team's going to come out on top. It's all in the hands of Bryce Miller and Mike Antico.
Nice block by Harrington, but 2-0 is the count. Antico, 2 singles, a flyout, and a ground out. 1-1. Bryce Miller has now thrown 30 pitches here in this half inning. Ball 2.
He's rearing back with the fastball like he did against Benjamin Sems. It worked out in that at bat, but you got to hit the strike zone with it. I think he just wants to challenge these hitters and say, hit the ball. We'll see if my fielders can back me up for once. And again, missing high. You got to hit the strike zone.
Commodores had a grand slam. Same thing here would put Wareham into the lead. Foul ball goes back out of play. The bullpen rejoices. It's 2-2, 2 outs.
This is as entertaining as you can get on the Cape.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. This is fun.
Bryce Miller getting ready to deliver to Mike Antico. Antico from St. John's trying to play hero here on Monday night. Foul ball back behind the screen. The count will remain the same.
Well, those fastballs look a lot better. I wish our radar gun was up and running here at Gov Fuller Field. He looks like he's getting some good velocity right now. It's why Sems and Antico both very late, but they're still matching it. They're doing a good job staying right on it.
Ball 3 in the dirt. Harrington blocks it. Wareham going nuts now. Full count, 2 outs, 3-run ball game here at Gov Fuller Field. Pitch of the night coming up.
Nobody warming in the pen for Falmouth either.
Miller's thrown 34 pitches, 18 strikes, but the 16 balls have been costly. Trying to escape unscathed from the stretch. Kicks the left leg and delivers. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Whew. The Wareham Gatemen give the Doors a scare, but still Falmouth escapes with a 3-run victory. Danny, let's talk about that half inning first before we talk about the whole game.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. The Falmouth Commodores somehow come away with a win after 5 errors, one of them coming in the 9th inning on what would have been out number 3. I mean, they got pretty lucky. Let's be honest. Hayden Cantrell kind of put the team on his back, and Sean Harrington, who rarely makes mistakes behind the plate, making that big one in the 9th, nearly bringing home a run, even if it had gone even further past Kasperius at first. A lot of three-ball counts, too. We saw 4 3-ball counts from Bryce Miller. Only one of them reached on a walk. Things got really interesting, and Falmouth got a little bit lucky tonight.
All right, Danny, we'll break it down. We'll start with the hitting, especially hitters 1 and 2, Cantrell and Cruz. We know how close they are in the middle infield. They're close friends already here on the Cape. They were outstanding, really. About as good of a 1-2 punch as you could ask for.
Yeah, these two, I mean, up the middle, they look like they have been playing together for years, first of all. And then when they're hitting-wise, I mean, come on, you got to be kidding me with that.
8 for 9, yeah.
8 for 9, and they racked up pretty much every RBI. 6 of the 8 RBIs for the Doors came from those first 2 guys. So, like I said a couple innings ago after the Cantrell Grand Slam, you're just waiting for that to start to trickle down the lineup, and maybe 3, 4, and 5 start to click a little bit, like we saw last year when the middle of the lineup kind of picked up on each other every single time around. And it's just kind of in baseball, if one guy's getting a hit, hits are kind of contagious, and you're hoping that spreads down the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, it was really a tale of 2 halves, right, Danny? Because the first half of the game, Wareham was very much in control. They got out to a 5-1 lead, but the Doors adding runs in the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings. What did you see in that first half when Falmouth struggled, especially defensively?
Well, Tommy Sheehan, I think, looked really solid. He was getting hit a lot, though. There were a lot of fastballs that were being taken to the opposite field against him, so it looked like Wareham was just making smart adjustments. They were good hitters. They're clearly a very solid offensive team. And then the errors, of course, didn't help. So it looked like Falmouth was just kind of playing like a Little League team, that they didn't really know what to do sometimes with the baseball when they had it or when it was hit towards them. They settled that down. They started putting guys on base. They ended up leaving 10 guys on base in total in this game. But again, get away with it because they just got a couple of clutch hits. Early on, when they had only 4 runs, 3 of the 4 runs came home on outs. Sacrifice fly and 2 fielders' choices. Finally, it was Hayden Cantrell who said, enough of this. I'm going to deposit one into right field. But before then, they were leaving a lot of guys on base, not getting a lot of clutch hits, and finally a clutch 2-out hit was enough to turn the tide.
Yeah, the turning point in the game, really the difference in the game, was the grand slam from Hayden Cantrell. I think we broke it down pretty well when it happened, but what did you see on that at bat? It was an early swing from Hayden Cantrell.
Yeah, it was a very early swing because you look back at that 7th inning and it was a walk and a hit by pitch that is the reason Cantrell came up to the plate with bases loaded. So I was thinking, okay, Hayden has swung at a total of in his first 3 at-bats, he swung at a total of 5 pitches. And then in the 6th inning, he worked a full count. He was starting to look like a leadoff hitter again. And in the 7th, I was expecting more of that. I was expecting him to say, you know what, he's starting to throw a lot of balls. I'm starting to get a little more patient as the game has progressed. So I'm going to watch it. He watches ball number 1. You're thinking he's got a red light, and he unloads on a fastball about belt high. And you know what? It was the smart decision because it was a bad pitch. That's not a pitch that you ever want to make. And to Hayden Cantrell, who's been by all rights a power hitter in the last 2 years, he did what he's been doing a lot lately, now with 11 home runs in 2019 for a guy who hit, 4 in all of 2018.
Chapter 1 of Falmouth and Wareham was extremely entertaining. Luckily, we have 5 more editions in this series in the regular season. And who knows, down the road, maybe the Doors and the Gatemen will meet again in the playoffs. Remember, last year, Wareham won the season series 4-2, swept the Doors in the Western Division Final. These 2 teams play each other a lot. Just across the bridge are the Gatemen. And what a great game we had here today. Wareham moves to 4-2-1. Falmouth back to 500 and even 3-3-1. Your winning pitcher tonight is Worcester, who was just cut by the Gatemen this week. Your losing pitcher for Wareham is Rhodes. Getting the save in dicey fashion, but it'll still be the same on the score sheet, is Bryce Miller. Thank you so much for joining us here from Gov Fuller Field. And the slog continues for the Doors. They're back at home tomorrow against the Orleans Firebirds. For Danny LaRose, for Katie Florio, for Sam Strickland and Tony Bianco, I'm David Korzenowski saying so long from Gov Fuller Field. Your final score, Falmouth 5, Wareham. Falmouth 8, Wareham.